It is 6 o'clock from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Tennessee Titans did some roster shuffling yesterday, signing two players that competed in rookie minicamp over the weekend. The Titans signed UConn wide receiver TJ Sheffield, a native of Thompson Station in Tennessee, and they also signed TCU tight end Drake Dabney. Frog. In other NFL news, the 2025 season schedule continues to take shape before the official release tomorrow. Some holiday games have been announced. The Chicago Bears versus the Philadelphia Eagles will be played on Black Friday, and the Denver Broncos versus Kansas City Chiefs will be played on Christmas Day. In the NBA playoffs, the Boston Celtics are down 3-1 to the New York Knicks and on the brink of elimination following last night's 121-113 Game 4 loss. Jason Tatum scored a game-high 42 points but was injured in the final minutes of play. Jalen Brunson's 39 points led the Knicks to the win. Speaking of elimination, Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers will try to knock off the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight in Game 5 as they lead the series 3-1. Tip-off is set for 6 p.m. on TNT. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW 104.5 The Zone. Welcome to your Tuesday morning, fueled by Scooters Coffee. Visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. 615-737-1045 is the number. The NFL schedule is starting to come together. We'll bring you everything you may have missed. Spoiler alert, the Eagles and the Chiefs will play a lot of primetime games. We've got a hypothetical for you in hour 2 this morning. What if Cam Ward struggles and Will Levis doesn't in the offseason? What does that mean for both sides, for trade value for Cam? We'll discuss that. VolQuest saw some price at 8:20. 7:20 Mountain Time, if you were counting that way. And the SEC Spring Football Series continues as DJ Shockley, former Georgia Bulldog, joins the show, talking some Georgia football at 9:20. Ramon Foster and Will Boulding with you. Kayla, the morning off. Justin Hawkins is our producer on Tuesday, May the 13th. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, man.
How we doing?
I thought good this morning until I opened up my laptop and you get that, hey, your disk is almost full alert. And
that's the worst.
That's the worst because no matter how much you erase, it's never enough, okay? It's absolutely never enough. So I've been trying to erase some stuff that's like from 2017. I see something right now from 2016 that has to go at this point. So a little small stuff. And other than that, I mean, at the baseball park last night to like 10:30. So,
burning the midnight oil.
a little
As
late.
Michael Scott would say, burning the midnight tequila.
Midnight tequila.
Watching baseball.
It was funny. Yesterday was one of those days, man, I ended up taking like 3 showers in a day, which is no problem at all, okay?
Sound like Buck Rising.
Yeah, I had to. After that last game, it was rainy, a little thick in the air and everything, man.
Sure.
And we always shower before getting into bed at night, too. And last night, I was just thinking, I was like, there's probably somebody so tired right now, they're probably going to hop directly in their bed and just go to sleep, which, when you think about all
That's me.
Yeah. And it's okay. Hey, you're the one that got to wash your sheets, okay? So there's a lot that goes into it.
Fair.
So, but yeah, other than that, man, really good. Watched a little bit of the NBA last night. Saw Tatum, what looks to be a popped Achilles. That series done. New York is moving on.
3-1 for the
3-1.
Knicks. I mean, look, if any team could blow that, it would be New York, right?
It would be. I don't know about this one, though. If Tatum's down, man, Boston, they seem defeated after that one, is the way it seems to me. They can rally as Boston and, you know, all the history that goes into it, the reigning champs, et cetera, et cetera. But, yeah, I think that's a wrap on that series. I saw a good teammate here, Ron Slay. I'm laughing at the park because he hits me for something. I'm just like, what's going on? And then I look on social media for him. He's at a 7-leg parlay last night. And I'm
Did
laughing.
he really?
I'm laughing, and Keisha's just like, what are you laughing at?
7 legs.
Will.
One more, he would have had a full octopus on that parlay.
I'm telling you, yeah, the leg was growing back. I'm sure the 8th one would have been the one that made him lose, though. That's usually
probably
how it goes, yeah. But I laughed my butt off, and I saw some of the replies back from it or whatever, and people was like, the one night I didn't listen, and all I could think to myself, no, it's called gambling. It's not called winning, okay? So you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, and I think more times than not, man, those parlays, not the parlays, the parlays are just hard to hit.
It's a challenging way to make money.
Yeah.
Very challenging way to make money doing parlays all the time. But parlays all the time, different story.
Could be different. Last night was a different story. All I was just wondering is, like, I wondered for a 7-legger, how much do you bring in? And how much do you wager on those, too? Because
fair.
that could easily be a quick 1,000. I mean, just throwing a number. It could be easy 1,000, depending on what you set it up as.
Is he betting on things with high odds or just a lot of things like
sometimes
if the Knicks are supposed to win,
that's how he feels.
That's lower odds.
All I know is after I feel like Tatum got hurt, I got a text from him. So that may have been that, they're losing. I think he
was on the Knicks then,
he was on the Knicks side. I'm guessing. I didn't listen to the end of the show to hear what his parlay was going to be, but Justin, does it matter after 7? I mean, when you got 7 legs, I mean, everything is high stakes at that point.
I made an NFL parlay last year, and it was like 6 legs, and the odds were not that great. It was because I picked all winners that were supposed to win.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
that's no fun.
Sense. Well, in that case, did they all win? It's an easy way to make
money. I still lost.
No, it's not easy. If it was that easy, you would have won.
Yeah, and he still
parlays are never an easy way to make money.
They're never.
Ever.
But they're fun watching the last 2 go down.
It's like playing golf. It's the one shot that brings you back to the course. It's the one parlay you've hit that brings you back to making parlays. I do not recommend it.
And it's the worst
unless
day.
Your name is Ron Slay.
It's the worst day for him, though, too. Because if I'm not mistaken, Wednesday's when Todd Furman comes on, and he and Todd have this insane beef going. Not even a beef, just this banter.
Worse than ours last week?
Where he just tells Ron, you're a fool for doing what you do. And it is such a great – he won't be able to tell Savage anything today, Will. Today is one of those days where whatever we want to ask him, we'll get an answer or get from him. You want breakfast this morning? I feel like we can call him and say, hey, Savage, let's send us something to the studio.
All right, well.
That's how parlays are, man. It's just, hey, when you win, everybody eats at that point.
Well, we already have one commenter on Facebook Live from Teresa saying, I hit it. Thank you, Ron.
See?
There you go.
There it is.
Shout out.
7-leg. I don't know. Sometimes you got to play the odds like that.
2 NBA games last night. The Knicks over the Celtics 121-113. New York leads that series 3-1. And then the Minnesota Timberwolves leading the Golden State Warriors 3-1, 117-110 for Anthony Edwards and the T-Wolves.
Yeah, he needed a response like that. He needed the last 2 responses they've gotten like that, man. They got a series now. Ant-Man's just unique. That dude, he can play ball. One thing I would tell...
He's a dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. And not just like dunking on folks and stuff like that either. Like, he got skill for such a young player in the league that'll surprise you at times if you think the perception of him is just dunking on dudes. Nah, it's actually pretty fun to watch, man, for a guy like him. The league, I think, is in a good spot. And I'm not sure you're going to bring this up today.
We'll get there.
All right.
It's rigged. Not really.
You knew where I was headed.
Yeah. No.
Okay, all right.
Draft lottery results, all those things. We will get into it this morning as well. Streaming the show live at 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. I got some Titans roster moves we'll get to in just a moment. We've got every game we know from the NFL season so far. But, Ramon, I'd be remiss if I did not mention the best show on television right now. Got a little bit better this past weekend.
Who's that?
So I watch my Sunday night shows on Mondays. Sunday, kind of the reset part of the weekend, cook, all those things, clean, all these, things that are going on. Mobland is the best show on television right now.
I've been waiting.
It's got 7 episodes out at this point. At this point, you should just go ahead and jump into it.
Okay.
I know Slay put on his Instagram story he was watching it as well. Speaking of Ron, feels weird calling him Ron. But Ron Slay. And Tom Hardy is unbelievable. The episode this past weekend, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fantastic. One of those, like, you start the episode, you think someone's dead, and then you start it and they're not dead, but then they are still in danger of being dead by the end of it. And it's it's gotten to the point where there's not a whole lot of character development going on anymore. It's just like the people with chainsaws trying to behead other people with chainsaws and all these other things that are just going on all the time. It's
Sounds
fantastic.
like Breaking Bad, almost in a sense. Well, it kind of developed a little bit.
It'd be like if you combine Breaking Bad and Peaky Blinders and The Sopranos. Not in terms of quality, in terms of like vibe. It's like a British mob drug show.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you're into British mobs and drugs, I got you covered.
Well, Tom Hardy,
drug shows.
He's into that anyway, though. He
just plays himself, basically.
Yeah, and he's good at it. He had this movie. I have to find it. I should have looked it up while you was talking, man. But it was him and his twin. It basically,
he has a twin?
His brother that he was playing in a movie, man. It was a movie that was in London. When I find the name of it, I'll give it to you. But either way, I love him in movies. Like, legitimately, he's one of the best actors out there as it pertains to, like, that type of action. And to be quite honest with you, it's just a genre that I like watching, too.
Legend. 2015 film. Identical twin gangsters, Ronald and Reginald Cray.
Cold.
Terrorized London during the 1960s. That's going to go on my list. That sounds fantastic.
Cold.
I have a flight this weekend. That might be what I watch on the plane.
It's pretty solid. I'll be quite honest with you. Tom Hardy's good. Yes, Legend is the name of that movie, man. He's just good. I like Tom Hardy. But I also like those types of shows right there, the mob stuff. Breaking Bad, Sopranos.
No doubt.
The storylines behind them keeps me intrigued. I've gotten to the point now where if I can predict your movie, it turns me off. Like, if I'm sitting there, it's like, yeah, this is going to happen, and that happens. Like, I'm just so done at that point. So I like those suspenseful, quick turning shows and movies and stuff.
615-737-1045 is our number if you want to jump in. Every game we know of the NFL season so far. A lot of Chiefs, a lot of Eagles, a lot of Bears. We'll talk about that next. Tuesday morning at RKW 1045 The Zone. We are brewed up by Scooter's Coffee. Visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Ramon, what are we drinking this morning?
I am drinking Scooter's Coffee, signature blend, ground, medium roast on top of that, all right?
Do you have any flavor notes you want to share with us in there?
Flavor notes on the Scooter's signature blend. Hints of citrus.
Oh.
Stone fruit. I got to look up
Stone fruit.
Stone fruit and
Sounds
dark
like a
chocolate.
tough fruit.
By the way,
Don't want to make stone fruit, man.
don't want to make stone fruit, man. It'll hit you dead in the face, man. Roasted and packaged in Omaha, Nebraska, by the way. Made with 100% Arabica coffee beans.
How do you say that word?
Arabica?
I know it's not that, but I don't know what it
You
is.
see what I'm saying? I jumped out there, Will.
It's another Saucony for you. I'm not even correcting you. I'm just thinking out loud.
Arabica, that's about right. That's the way it looks, Will, to me. You about to look and sound it out right now? I'd love to know the correct version of it, man.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pronunciation. I still don't have it.
Arabica? Not that. Not that.
We'll figure it out.
It's close.
We'll effort that.
We'll have to sound it through Google if that's the case. By the way,
man.
I was speaking of the last hint of this coffee, man. I've become a bigger fan of dark chocolate than I ever thought I would. Like, I do like milk chocolate, but like dark chocolate that's very adult of me, is all I'll say, man.
Very adult.
Yeah.
It's like when I switched to black coffee about a year ago.
Yeah. I will say this morning, I threw a little cinnamon in here and French vanilla.
Peyton does that.
Does she?
She does cinnamon,
It's
yeah.
supposed to enhance the flavor, if I'm not mistaken,
sure.
or whatever the case may be. Arabica.
According to
it?
Google pronunciation, it's Arabica.
Arabica.
Well,
Okay.
There it is.
Arabica.
Arabica.
The more you know.
Oh, the more.
6:20. You're supposed to learn something every day. If you're listening to Ramon, Kayla, Will, you just learn something by 6:30.
Yeah, you
That's
good.
fantastic.
Arabica. Appreciate that. They'll put it in there, too. Either way, we're rolling now, Will, and I'm sipping.
Titans roster moves yesterday. An Independence Eagle signed to the Titans roster. TJ Sheffield from the University of Connecticut. 1,700 yards, 14 touchdowns in his college career as a Husky after previously playing at Purdue. That was his career total, not just as a Husky. And then tight end Drake Dabney, Frog. Started all 13 games at TCU last season. After playing previously at Baylor, he will wear number 86. Played in 40 games at Baylor. Made 19 catches last year for TCU. Safety Jaron Thompson and corner Virgil Lemons were waived. We had talked about Virgil Lemons as a potential punt return specialist who could have made this roster.
Yeah, I was shocked by that one. I heard the update yesterday on the Zone. I was just like, whoa, Virgil Lemons. Like, the last name is what really did it for him. I was like, that's the guy everybody was talking about. I was shocked because, again, he does have a bit of a reputation, a guy that I know a lot of folks had their eyes on as it pertains to this roster, or at least competing. Like, I hadn't been in this spot before, but, like, to get cut this time of the year, man, really has to be disheartening. But he'll get another opportunity, I'm sure. Like, what he's not for the Titans is what you just say in this situation right now.
I was going to say, when you get cut this early, like, what did the staff have to see / not see in you?
I'll be quite honest with you. Not everybody's a 1%er. Just plain honest, Will.
Division II West Florida for Virgil Lemons.
I'm telling you, not everybody's a 1%er, and you'll see what I mean by that. Not everybody's an NFL player. Guys can play ball, and guys are good where they come from. But for you to get cut this early is either numbers, or either you have bad drops or bad performance, or just be quite honest, the talent just isn't there. And that's okay to say at times too. And you don't want to waste your time as a coach on bad talent. I'm not saying these two guys who got cut are bad talent. But more times than not, I've seen guys out there and just like, you play college ball?
Yeah, how many times every camp did you look around and think, like, who invited you?
If I can go into, like, vet mode, like, bro, you don't even supposed to be out here. And it happens every year, too. You see some dudes that come in with, like, bad bodies. You see some guys come in that just don't know how to, like, step, move, operate. They end up on the ground. They're dropping passes. And you, at that point in your career, because it is the best of the best, just simply have to say, bro, you just not good. And it's got to be all right. Like, there are other leagues for you to go play in. And I don't say that to the mean guys. And I've never actually said that to nobody's face.
Yeah, sure.
But when the vets get in the corner, who invited this jack? Like, it's
great.
It is that conversation because it's a dog-eat-dog world, though, in that when it's this time of the year.
So yesterday, if you missed it, the NFL schedule started to come out. Today, ESPN will announce some of its primetime games on Good Morning America. So stay tuned for that. We'll update you as we learn more about when games are being played, even though we know what games are being played. We just don't know when or on what network because the NFL makes everything an event, even things that probably shouldn't be. Tomorrow, full schedule release day, where we will know everything about where the Titans are headed, when they will be headed there. The NFL will also announce its international games today on Good Morning Football.
Be good. Good Morning Football's NFL Network, correct?
Yes.
All right, for sure. The international games. That's the one we're hoping the Titans get.
There's one possibility for the Titans, and that would be to play the Browns in London. I do not think the Titans would play a division game in Berlin against the Colts or against the Jags in Wembley.
No, absolutely not. I can't see that one either. The Good Morning American cast, I was trying to see who's on there. That is Michael Strahan would be a part of that announcement, I'm guessing. I'm seeing him as on the roster for the morning, so with Robin Roberts and that crew. So very football-centric. I also heard last night, speaking of him, he's supposed to have another sit-down with Bill Belichick.
With Bill Belichick, yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating that he wants to talk even more when he didn't talk ever as a coach.
Yeah, I was going to say, doesn't that scream, I don't want to talk, but some's telling me to?
Somebody's forced me
like
to talk.
Maybe my girlfriend?
But Bill ain't the topic this morning. We're on the schedule, man. I threw us off right there.
You're good.
With that being said, though, the NFL does a good job of this. I can't wait to see the Good Morning Football release of the international schedule. Pittsburgh has one. I'm wondering who they're going to play over there, too. Not that I'm going to anything, so...
Fair. Yeah, you'll be in Knoxville this fall.
Knoxville. I can say that now, can I? Wow.
Absolutely, you can. Absolutely. NFL season opener, we talked about it yesterday. Eagles-Cowboys. Thursday, September the 4th in Philadelphia. We know one of the Christmas triple-header games. Chiefs and Broncos.
Chiefs and Broncos, the connection. AFC West. So is that going to be a divisional game day then? If that's
in Kansas City, night game. So that is the late game on Christmas, and good possibility for snow game as well.
Should be a good one, man, to be quite honest with you. I'll tell you who won't be there. The super fan Wolfman.
Chiefs of Holly? Yeah, I saw he had, an extra sentence added on to his whatever it was. If you missed it, there's a guy in a wolf costume who embezzled and stole money from 8 different states, and he got more time added to his sentence yesterday.
32 years.
He's kind of a legendary fan. Yeah, another 14 and a half years in prison. Tough.
For being a super fan, well, he out here stealing people money, though, too. So there's that side of it.
From 8 states, too, yeah.
Man, what's crazy just that quick, man, on why the quarterback position is so important and the reason everybody clamor over finding the one, and within a year's time, here you have the Denver Broncos with Bo Nix and Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Primetime games.
No doubt.
I mean,
primetime divisional game on Christmas.
On Christmas of all days, man. That's what the quarterback means when you hit on your guy, man.
No doubt. Rhett Bryan efforting our stats department this morning, named Rhett, efforting us that the Colts are playing the Falcons in Germany.
Colts are playing the Falcons.
I believe that one slipped through the cracks for me. So there you go. There's one less international opportunity for the Titans. So the only other 2 opponents they could have would be the Jags or Browns. And again, I don't think they're going to put a division game in Europe.
No.
So Browns is the only opportunity. I doubt they would do that just a couple of years after. And again, the point we made about the Titans going back to Europe is that they will not want to waste a team in Europe on a home game for a team that has a new stadium. So you may see them... but I also don't know if they really want to do that for a team that also is in the final year of their old stadium. Yeah. So, I mean, it is a possibility.
It is a possibility.
Find out today.
Yeah. I hope they kind of do get another one of those games, man. It'd be good. Spread the brand. Grow a little
back
bit
in Tottenham.
More. Yeah, absolutely. Tottenham was a nice stadium, by the way. They did that one.
Stadium's nice.
Well. Yeah,
Club's
absolutely.
not much to write home about.
There's a good old friend of ours that's a fan of them chickens, But either way.
Chickens. There's 10 people that are getting that joke, and I really appreciate them listening this morning. NFL on Fox, Week 16 doubleheader of Commanders, Eagles, and Bears, Packers. Once again, if you got a good quarterback, young quarterback, doesn't matter if they're even just in year 2, more examples of this. Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. Just like Bo Nix, the guy in their draft class, year 2. If Cam Ward hits, this will be you in a year's time in 2026.
Easily, man. Because Denver had a solid season last year. They did bring it together. They did put it together. But I'll say this, though. I don't think many people had tagged Bo Nix as being that high caliber of a quarterback.
No, absolutely not. I agree.
It just goes to show, though, too, that when you fit that S word that we speak of, a system that a coach wants to call, like nothing else matters at that point. Because the biggest conversation was, Cam not being the top guy in the draft. Well, Cam's the top quarterback that Coach Brian Callahan wants to coach. And when you got your guy takes you to the promised land, man, to primetime game. He's going toe-to-toe to Patrick Mahomes. With Patrick Mahomes on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And Jaden Daniels got a primetime slot, too. What a time.
Other games that we know are happening. Week 1, Brazil. Eric Fisher, former Kansas City Chief, says that YouTube is expected to broadcast Chargers and Chiefs, the second NFL game in Brazil after last season's game between the Packers and Eagles.
Chargers and Chiefs. Another Chiefs game. I'm trying to find the connect. Well, the Chargers got their quarterback and the new coach, and their West Coast. The travel's a whole lot.
That
better.
is a division game outside of America. Should that be happening? International games that are division games?
So I think to me the biggest question mark is what time will it be shown? If it's still a primetime game, I'm still for it because what I do know is somebody that's played the international games and somebody that's gone to the South America to do a football camp for said my old team. They will show up. It will be an event. It will be, for that country, heck yes, I think they should. 100%, man. That will be like a home game for both sides because it's just a huge party. And the way you can build that brand up, man, and have fans for life, I don't think this one's a bad move for the two said teams, either the Chiefs and the Chargers. So, yeah, I ain't opposed to that one.
So the Chargers could have kept their home game against the Chiefs. Because, again, that's a major disadvantage for you in the division, having one less divisional home game. Yeah. Chargers decided they didn't need it. Quite honestly, if there's any team that makes sense for, it's them because they don't have a home crowd to begin with.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, their own city doesn't care about them. Maybe someone in a different city on a different continent will.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm not even trying to troll. The Chiefs are going to have a home field advantage in L.A. anyway. They will have less of one in Brazil than they will in the Chargers' own city.
And like last year when the Titans played against them, that crowd did get loud, but like the upper part of the stadium wasn't packed in as what you needed it to be.
And there are a lot of West Coast Titans fans.
It is. And that's an easy flight for them to roll down too. So yeah, I'm into that conversation. It makes sense to me, as you said, for the Chargers to take that trip and say, yeah, we'll go explore and build our brand a little bit more. Because that's our biggest conundrum right there is they can't win over the Rams fans and then everybody else visits LA to take over their stadium.
Right. Ben Fisher and Austin Carver Sports Business Journal write that teams exporting home games to the International Series can protect up to 2 games. So the Chargers did not protect any of their 3 AFC West home games. They wanted to play a division game away from home, away from, North America.
I mean, what's that? Denver coming there. That is Kansas City coming there.
And Vegas.
Mm-hmm. They lose that home crowd.
For all 3 of those teams.
For all 3 of those
100%.
teams. Yes.
100%.
That's a drive over for people in Vegas. You know what I'm saying? Or Oakland. That's a quick flight. So that makes sense for them. Honestly, it's a great business decision on their end to hopefully deter the Chiefs fans from flying to South America.
That is the also the Week 1 Friday night game.
I'll take that.
Yep. Games we will figure out today. Again, NFL games. There's 3 of them on Christmas again. 1 p.m., 4:25, 8:20 Eastern. So noon, 3:25, 7:20. We will also learn when the Super Bowl rematch will happen because the Chiefs will host the Eagles in Kansas City this season. Date not yet announced for that one. I imagine we'll get that one today. I guarantee you that is a ESPN Monday night game.
Easily.
At this point. You also have an AFC Championship game rematch. Chiefs-Bills. Another one that will be on the docket for this season.
I feel like, and I say this respectfully, this feels like they're trying to make that Baltimore-Pittsburgh the way Chiefs-Bills continually play each other. Like, I know they line up because they're 1-1 in their divisions.
Yeah, sure.
So you got to play the other ones. But, yeah, that matchup right there is classic. I don't know who's going to fall off first. What I do know is this, is Kansas City got to figure out what they are and how they're going to go about keeping this high standard, because, again, it seems to me Buffalo's making a lot of the right moves, and you got the Eagles and Commanders and everybody else jumping into that pool. And don't let Sean Payton and Bo Nix start to cook. I hate to use that with him, but, like, don't let them get hot.
So the Titans' opponents again at home, in addition to the division: Chiefs, Chargers, Rams, Seahawks, Patriots, and Saints. On the road, Broncos, Raiders, Cardinals, 49ers, Browns, in addition to the AFC South. Do you think the Titans-Patriots game is a primetime game?
Titans-Patriots, yes. I'll give it afternoon.
Mike Vrabel's return?
I consider those semi-prime times, 3:15 kickoff.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that one's primetime.
You think it's prime time?
I think that's a Sunday night or a Monday night game.
You know how well, I think you're probably going to be right, because you know why? I've already got I told you guys last week, I had a Baltimore Patriots beat writer hit me up wanting to have a conversation about Vrabel's return.
Oh.
It's May. hey.
Getting ready for in case there is a primetime game to write about?
It's May, Will. And so it somewhat made me, you know what I'm saying, just open my eyes a little bit more. Like, they are talking about Vrabel and the Titans, too, up there.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Like, it ain't just Titans fans that are leaning in. We hadn't had that conversation yet, me and the beat writer, but he's all in. He's an ESPN guy, too, so he was just, they're going to paint this one up. So I think you're right. That one could be a prime time.
I think you're going to get Patriots prime time and Jags prime time. I think that's your two.
More than one this year.
I think Thursday night Jags is back, and it's a Sunday or Monday night Patriots.
This Thursday night Jags won't feel like the customary, just throw them on Thursday night.
I don't think so. I think it's more, hey, the top two picks are playing against each other.
Yeah. You have to have this one be the case.
I think so, too.
1 versus 1.
I think so, too.
2 max is what we are on this one?
You know, with the number 1 overall pick, I just don't know. Like, obviously, Travis Hunter stole a lot of Cam Ward's shine on draft night.
Yes, he did.
But I do still think there is a star factor to Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. I really do. I tend to always go on the lower end of predicting these things because we are still a mid-market or a small market for the NFL. So my guess would be 2. I mean, the only other one that I could see would be Cleveland.
Houston? No.
Or Houston, maybe. I mean, I think Houston and Jacksonville or Houston and Indy is going to have a little bit more intrigue considering where those teams were in the division last season.
So my biggest issue is I love, like, that if they do get a primetime game, it would be even better if it was here. The thing is, with all the construction going around the stadium, what do they do with the production as far as, let's say, Monday Night Football in Nashville or Sunday Night Football, because they carry a lot of trucks. I wonder what that'll be their excuse of, like, yeah, you get a primetime game, but we're going to go to Kansas City or we're going to go to Jacksonville of all places.
Well, or it's even the Monday night doubleheader, right?
Yeah.
Where they, like, every time the Titans have been on Monday Night Football over the past couple seasons, you've gotten Chris Fowler, Louis Riddick, and Dan Orlovsky and with Laura Rutledge instead of Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, because there's a doubleheader going on.
And to be fair,
they've done more of recently.
The Patriots game is a home game for the Titans, too. So that's the opportunity to have it here. It's just,
I agree.
Will they make the excuse of, well, they can't fit it because the optics of it isn't what they want it to be?
Sure. I don't think it's something that really moves the needle, like, complaint-wise for me. I think it's interesting because I do think it is interesting the way the Titans are perceived, but it doesn't necessarily give me a very overly positive or negative emotion either way. Yeah. If you win games and if Cam Ward is good, the attention and the spotlight will come.
Yeah. Well, the best part about it is this AFC South, you hope, except for the Colts at this point, is getting better. And not just that, what I thought would be one of the best young, the conversation a year ago, the best young quarterback divisions is getting railroaded by the Colts situation with Anthony Richardson. Got to figure out if he's going to be a quarterback in this league. And also the fact that Will Levis dropped the ball, too. Like, you'd be a step ahead right now if Will Levis had hit. But here's the situation. You got the number 1 overall pick, and that brings a whole lot of cameras, eyes, and just conversation around your city, too. So the South has to help with this, too.
It does.
AFC South.
No doubt. 615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up, a sport that a lot of people think is rigged did not do very much to dispel that notion last night. That's next. All right, listen, I'm not going to say the NBA is rigged because I already poked the bear and I value my friendship with Ron Slay. But I'm also not going to say it.
Yeah.
As we wrap up hour one this morning in RKW, Ramon Foster, Will Bowling, Justin Hawkins is our producer. The Dallas Mavericks had a 1.8% chance to secure the number one overall pick of the NBA draft. They did last night. They traded Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers, and now they will have a big three, Ramon Foster, that includes Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Cooper Flagg. That's pretty decent. Explain to me this like I'm five.
What happened is, how this happened is, it's Davis, right out of the pages of David Stern. This is where the conversation of David Stern helped facilitate the legend of Michael Jordan and how the Jordan rules were implicated because they knew how big of a star he was going to be. But not just that, man. This to me, I thought of instantly boxing. Boxing is one of those sports where it can be somewhat manipulated and controlled because certain people have that type of flex just to try to curate the sport as much as they want. The thing about Dallas being a big market, you can't let it just skid and go away. You, in the middle of your season, trade away one of the biggest stars in the NBA. You're supposed to be hurt bad from that. Dallas somehow had like a 1% chance to win the lottery.
1.8%.
The team that lost it to second place was the Spurs, had, I think, like a 12% chance of getting it, if I'm not mistaken. 12 versus 1%. Okay, so the way it seems is this. Hey, you guys need to be able to send Luka Doncic to L.A. because LeBron is getting old, and we have to have a star in the making already for L.A. If you do that, we'll find a way for you to win the lottery so that you can go get you another star to help sustain your program, your organization. Dallas Mavericks, do you agree to these terms? Yes. And their GM got ripped by this. Nico, I forget his last name. Nico
Harrison?
Harrison, maybe. But it to me, I'll say
Harrison.
this. Now, here's a point that I will say as it pertains to this. I don't know if this is good or bad because here's the thing. To keep the NBA where they are as far as the superstar status, as far as the markets, you can't let certain teams down. Right now, Indy was one of those top teams. Boston is doing good. LA was has the star power behind it.
Sure.
Miami still is. Like, right now, we're watching Giannis wants to be traded out of Milwaukee, too. Like, these types of things happen in the NBA, and I feel like their powers that be, their executives, their CEOs, find a way to curate the game a little bit more. Like, the association really is, you got to be a part of it in a sense to keep it afloat. Like, even Sacramento has momentum in the NBA, and they got to somewhat facilitate. The small market teams are doing good. Oklahoma being another one of those teams.
Yeah, Thunder are great.
And I ain't mad at it, to be quite honest with you. Because here's the other part of it. As big as Dallas is, the brand, especially with Mark Cuban still being involved in it too, Cooper Flagg is going to be one of those guys. And I'll say this too. It's great for the American players in this conversation too because you got a guy who's going to end up being a big star in a market like that. And it's going to work out in a sense too.
There's a good crop of American players this year specifically. Like, it's not one of those years where a random French guy, respectfully, who you've never heard of is the number one overall pick or they're like sweeping the top 3 or 4 because you got the 2 kids out of Rutgers who are also expected to be maybe top 3 picks or top 5 picks at the very least is what I was reading last night.
So it's our dog Savage in there. So I think y'all are thinking too much of Cooper Flagg. Well, this is just what they present to us.
Yeah, sure, right.
The marketing of what Cooper Flagg could be says that he should be the number 1 overall pick for a team like that. That's not necessarily going to be the savior of it.
Yeah.
But the hottest player in America being the number 1 overall pick to a market like that says a lot.
It allows them to reset. I mean, Anthony Davis is never healthy.
Right.
And Kyrie Irving is Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know.
He's a dog.
Depending on when he's healthy and he wants to be at a place, he's great. But, depends on the month. And then he wants to go somewhere else and team up with somebody else.
I read somewhere that winning the lottery in the NBA draft, for the NBA draft, is this. It's a $500 million to $1 billion boost for that team. Luka leaving, I'm sure, hurt what could have potentially been a big market for them, considering the star that he could turn into still. Because Luka's only 25, 26.
Right. He's about my age.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy that he's that guy. So, to me, it at least somewhat helped strengthen what the Dallas Mavericks needed to sustain themselves because their GM has been getting, I'm talking about, dogged out publicly for trading him away. Like, that doesn't just happen like that for most times.
I saw somebody jokingly said, I hate that this gross level of incompetence just got rewarded. And David Ubben of The Athletic quote tweeted it with a video of Auburn's 4th and 18 Hail Mary to beat Georgia. So here's more gross incompetence that got rewarded on the deflected ball that landed and, was part of Auburn's miracle season to put them in the national championship game.
Again, I'm not mad at it. It's just I hate that it's so obvious almost. You're at 1%, you're not supposed to hit,
It's going to be interesting. I do think that we as sports fans need to stop expecting there to be a next LeBron just because LeBron kind of came up not too far after Michael Jordan, was hanging it up. It might just be that it takes us 40, 50 more years to get another athlete of that caliber, to have another GOAT level player that is at least in that discussion as like the first or second best player, depending on what age you are and who you are. And I'm not here to get in a GOAT conversation this morning. It's not at all what I'm trying to do. But it does feel like we crown that next prospect to be that level of player way too quickly because we just went through a generation that produced a couple of them in Tom Brady, in Tiger Woods, in Serena Williams, in LeBron James. Like, it's not normal to have GOATs pop up in every sport as much as they maybe have over the last 10, 15 years. We can't expect that to be the case just because Cooper Flagg is seen as that level of player.
And to that point, Steph wasn't the number 1 overall pick either. As far as I'll say this too, I think he's a GOAT status. He definitely changed the game more than
he's the best 3-point shooter of all time. Best 3-point shooter
by a big margin at this point too.
I think it's fair.
So it's fascinating to see the NBA work like this more. It feels like a boxing decision.
How do you feel about the lottery as a whole? Do you like it for the NBA? I don't
understand it, to be quite honest with you.
Does the NFL need a lottery?
No. I think that the method of worst to first works. It does. Because I like the manipulation of the game in a sense, how you have the Patriots that had it locked up, sold up, and then here's Joe Milton playing for his career, and it knocks you out. I think it's more mystique to it in a sense, unless you go 0-16, 0-17. Like, I like that because it really pushes your team up, because here's the other part of it. I think Dallas got some players. You mentioned, of course, Anthony Davis and Kyrie. Those aren't just, roadblocks. Those dudes are actually stars in this league. Yeah, so I can't understand how they ended up getting it as opposed to somebody else that potentially needed those picks a little bit more.
I think it makes it more challenging to turn over your roster and go from bad to good, which I think is something the NFL is really good at. The NFL gives you the infrastructure and the picks to turn things around quickly. And if you were a Utah Jazz fan or a Washington Wizards fan or a Charlotte Hornets fan sitting there with 14% chances of, being at the top of this, and you're picking 5th, 6th, and 7th, respectively, that's not a very good recipe to turn over your roster and go from bad to good very quickly.
No.
That's the one thing that the NFL does sell you, is the chance to always have hope in your quarterback and in that one position. Now, granted, there's not one position in basketball that's just an elevator of everything in your franchise, the way the quarterback position is. That's why we talk about how the quarterback position is the most important position in sports. There's nothing like it in any of these other sports. So it's not a one-to-one comparison in terms of the sports and the types of players that are being drafted, but I prefer just the way the NFL does it, to be quite honest with you.
I do, too. It seems to me to be a little bit more simple because I actually watched the lottery show last night, too, and a lot of these picks were because one team did this and didn't do that, and now you get this pick. It's
very complicated.
It was a fascinating method to how they gave out the selections last night. Speaking of the Wizards.
It's good TV.
Washington Wizards. I can tell you anything about the Wizards at this point this year.
Well, I couldn't
Not
either.
this year. Not this year, man. And it somewhat sucks because that's a group of pros over there.
615-737-1045. An ESPN writer writes at ESPN.com, 10 rookies not drafted in the first round who have potential to be stars right away. And he has one of them as a Tennessee Titan. That's next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. Are you having some electrical issues? Well, available 24/7. The Lee Company team handles electrical problems and more in short order. From routine repairs on outlets and switches to fixture upgrades and generator installations, Their award-winning electricians will get the job done right the first time. Just contact Lee Company for all your home electrical needs at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com to schedule with an experienced electrician. Look, when you put Lee Company on your team, you've got the very best players who know a thing or two in a lot of different areas. Their HVAC, plumbing, electrical systems, you name it, they can take care of it for your home or for your business. 615-567-1000. That's the number to call with Lee Company. They're available 24/7. Trusted for over 80 years here in Middle Tennessee. Check them out at leecompany.com to schedule with an experienced electrician. That's Lee Company, all you need.
It is 7 a.m. from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Tennessee Titans did some roster shuffling Monday, signing two players that competed in rookie minicamp over the weekend. The Titans signed UConn wide receiver T.J. Sheffield, a native of Thompson Station in Tennessee, and they also signed TCU tight end Drake Dabney, Frog. Conversely, the Titans waived cornerback Virgil Lemons and safety Jaron Thompson. In NFL news, the 2025 season schedule continues to take shape before the official release tomorrow. The latest this morning is the rematch of NFC wildcard round as the Philadelphia Eagles will travel to Green Bay to face the Packers on Monday Night Football in Week 10 at Lambeau Field. To the NBA playoffs, where the Boston Celtics are now down 3-1 to the New York Knicks, and they're on the brink of elimination following last night's 121-113 Game 4 loss. Jason Tatum scored a game-high 42 points, but was injured in the final minutes of play. Jalen Brunson's 39 points led the Knicks to the win. And speaking of elimination, Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers will try to knock off the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight in Game 5 as they lead the series 3-1. Tip-off is set for 6 p.m. on TNT. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW 104.5 The Zone, brewed by Scooters Coffee and streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV. Visit a locally owned Scooters location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. 615-737-1045 is the number. You've got Ramon Foster, Will Bowling waking up with you today. Justin Hawkins, our producer. So another NFL game, official, from Good Morning America today, where Troy Aikman and Joe Buck are on the desk with former Nashville anchor Robin Roberts on ABC.
Hey, now.
Jalen Hurts and the Super Bowl champion Eagles. Well, we know a quarter of their schedule already. They will travel to Green Bay to take on Jordan Love and the Packers Week 10 on Monday Night Football.
A good physical matchup right there.
So, again, when in doubt, the Eagles are playing in primetime.
Good physical matchup right there. I'll take that one, man. That's 4 for the Eagles on prime.
So, yep, we know the Eagles start the season against the Cowboys on Thursday, September 4th. They play in Green Bay on Monday, November 10th. They will play on Black Friday against the Chicago Bears in Philly. And then they will go to Washington on Saturday, December 20th.
God, dog.
Goodness sakes.
Well, it's a whole lot of tush pushing you watching, okay?
Yeah.
It's
a whole lot of shirtless Jason Kelsey and a lot of desks
yes, it
this
is.
upcoming year.
Golly, man, what a big time schedule that is for them. I want to see how they respond with it, knowing that everybody's coming at them. I talked to it was a fan. I talked to a Cowboys fan this past week, and very civil conversation, by the way, just so you know. They're not all crazy. But they're super excited about this George Pickens pickup and what this means for Dak and stuff like that. They feel like they're going to be able to compete now that they got more offensive weapons to try to come back to that point what the Eagles are. Eagles are just trench monsters on defense, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
So Field Yates at ESPN.com writes yesterday, ranking 2025 NFL rookie impact for non-round one draft picks. He has 10 of these ranked. Number 1 is Tyler Shuck, now because he's likely QB1 of the New Orleans Saints. Number 2 is R.J. Harvey, the Central Florida running back that was selected 60th overall by the Denver Broncos, who had a major need at that position. Harvey now can be the joker in Sean Payton's offense, who can catch, who can run, who can be kind of like an Alvin Kamara type for what Sean Payton had in New Orleans. Well, there's one player that Field Yates has put on this list who is a Tennessee Titan. He's not in the top 10. He's the first honorable mention as a potential star that was not picked in the first round. And Field Yates thinks Gunnar Helm could be that guy for the Titans this year. Says Gunnar Helm will have the opportunity to be Cam Ward's best friend as a safety valve at tight end. Helm isn't going to provide explosive plays, but he showed great hands and middle-of-the-field instincts at Texas. He finds soft spots in zone coverage and is effective staying alive in unscripted situations. That is a very common thread of all the people the Titans have signed to catch passes from Cam Ward. Field Yates adding he'll pair well with Ward in this offense. So what do you think about that?
I think that's going to be the running narrative moving forward, because here's the other part, too. Unlike the wide receiver room here in Nashville, there aren't that many veterans that are established in that tight end room. It's going to be very easy for Gunnar Helm to get his reps. Not just that, but be a bigger target than what a guy like Chig, and be more, I would hope, more durable than what Josh Wiley has been. Those two dudes have, slight issues as it pertains to their game. Chig last year had a case of the dropsies, or not all the time, but it wasn't consistent enough.
Or fumblesees.
Yes, those I like those words right there. I'm gonna put it in the Webster, okay?
Yeah.
But that to me signifies that they're going to be looking for a guy with a high upside, and that's the way I feel about him. And here's the thing too: it may not even be over 400 yards in the season for him, but what you want is the ability to high point the ball, his ability to get open and use his size. And I feel like that's where Chig from time to time gets smothered. Josh Wiley seems like he can't find a way to bring it in or stay healthy enough to continue his abilities that we need to see on the field. That was one of the more exciting things about him coming in, was he was tall, he can run, he has athleticism, but I don't know if it's the structure of the way his body's made up or how he falls, what the case may be when it comes to Josh Wiley. But I do look at Gunnar Helm as being a little bit more compact, prototypical tight end style that you want. And here's the thing: I don't think Gunnar Helm is fast. I don't think he's super explosive and unique, but certain guys you want on your team that just knows how to play the tight end position. And I feel like that's him, especially his pathway to get to this point coming out of Texas too.
I think it's interesting. I think, statistically, as you talk about what a quote-unquote major contributing season would be for Gunnar Helm, like, you're right, 400 yards but 5 touchdowns would be a successful first season for him as tight end 2 or tight end 3. And I think at this point, we shouldn't have super high expectations for what Chigakonkwo is in this offense. Like, we keep waiting for it to really click with the athleticism, with the intangibles, with the skill set that he brings to the table. But as the inconsistency continues from him, and you'll get 5 to 6 week stretches of brilliance, and then you'll get 4, 5, 6 week stretches of not much. At this point, I will believe it when I see it. And I think this staff feels the same way. Otherwise, they wouldn't have invested the draft capital they did in trying to replace him.
Yeah.
And trying to go get Gunnar Helm. To me, it's Gunnar Helm's ability to keep drives alive and give Cam Ward more bullets in the chamber to do something awesome. Like, that's the part of it, I think, for this team is, on paper, a 4 or 5 yard catch on 3rd and 3 doesn't look like a ton. But if that extends a drive where then you are able to hit Chimere DK on a deep crosser for a 30-yard touchdown, then, that's a significant play to keep drives alive and understand that it's not going to look numbers-wise very significant for Gunnar Helm this season, but it might give you more avenues to have success and do big things.
And this is where I feel like it'll be a little bit different for a guy like Gunnar Helm, too. It is, to me, I think, and it's probably projecting of what I want to happen. So here's the other part as well. I'll just go ahead and say, is I see him already taking 2 reps from Josh Wiley. I think Chig is still the number one.
I think that's totally fair.
But I look at a guy like Gunnar Helm is probably going to be a slightly better blocker, or at least more efficient than what Josh Wiley's provided you. And you look at him as far as the capabilities of what he's doing, like, I see him bringing the ball in more. I see his style being a little bit more fluid than what Josh has kind of provided us over these couple of years that he's been a pro. So, again, it's always what you do in your second year and what did we see out of Wiley in the first couple of years here in Tennessee. If I'm Coach Brian Callahan, I'm already moving on. There's no attachment to it other than the fact that Chig, more than anything, is probably your number one because he's had the most production here. So I think he does come first, and I think the splitting of reps between Helm and Wiley is one of the hotter, competitions in training camp moving forward, too. Don't be shocked is where I'm at with this one.
What's the over-under on when you think Gunnar Helm could be tight end 1? Or does that happen this season?
I don't know if it happens this season.
Okay.
I just think the incorporation of his playmaker ability is going to have him ready for a year or two, just catapult to have more in this offense, is the way I see it. Because if you got to think about where the coaches come from, too. When you look at Callahan, from Denver to Cincinnati, they've always had a guy to try to incorporate into their offenses time and time again, year after year. That makes sense to me that Gunnar Helm is one of those types of guys. And considering, if I'm not mistaken, this is Chig's last year on this contract too. It expires and he's a free agent after this year. It's year 4 for Chig. Yeah, you'd probably want to invest more into the young guy.
I think it's fair. I would say we're looking at like week 10 range on if Gunnar Helm could take over as tight end 1. Chig will still get a lot of opportunities. And to be fair, there's room for both of them to have different roles within this offense. Chig as a matchup problem, deep threat tight end. Mm-hmm. Chig is a guy who you can get the ball also on a screen or on, something within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage to catch and run. Meanwhile, Gunnar Helm is more of a blocker and more of a safety valve target than he is an explosive play machine. That's where I think it doesn't have to be one or the other. I just think you have different roles for each of them. They can coexist within this offense.
They absolutely can. You got to think about this. Here's a guy last year, man, and Nick Vannett, I felt like they had somewhat of a bigger role than Josh Wiley did at times. One, because of his blocking, allowed him to be on field, man. But there's also, what did the staff find out about Josh Wiley last year? And the only reason I mention him because, like I said, I think Chig's your TE1, your tight end 1. What did they learn about Josh Wiley last year as far as his production?
Sure.
Wasn't a whole lot on the plate.
I think the other part of it, too, is that if you trust both of your tackles to block on islands, then you don't have to have your tight ends helping them out as much, which means you can get more production out of that position. I think there's more production to be had for the Titans at tight end and at running back, catching the football, if you don't have to chip so much for a liability at right tackle. Yeah. If J.C. Latham is able to be put on an island and at least not drown, if you throw him in the deep end and he's at least serviceable, then I think you will see more production from Chig because he's not going to have to chip the Myles Garretts of the world and the Josh Hines Allens of the world. He can just go out and be in a route immediately, which also helps Cam Ward. Like, you've got more options to throw to if those guys don't have to help your bad pass protectors. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on Dan Moore and on J.C. Latham to be put on islands and allow you to have as many weapons out there catching the football as possible, because running backs and tight ends are gold mines for improvisational quarterbacks.
Yeah, I will say the who gets the most between Josh Wiley and I think Gunnar Helm comes down to blocking too, because I felt like if you look at just a simple game law, Nick Vannett started 10 games last year out of the 17. Wiley started 4, and I'm guessing that's probably because the establishment of the run game and his ability to block a whole lot better than Wiley. So if Gunnar Helm comes in and becomes a better blocking tight end first, he will get more reps, I feel like, at that spot than a Wiley will. And again, like I said, I've conceded that Chig is going to be the guy, though.
I agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
I mean, 3 touchdowns last year to Wiley's 1. The targets, I mean, he had less with more production last year also.
I think with Wiley, I think you also have to consider the health factor.
Oh, yeah.
He was not able to stay on the field. Plus, when he was, the hands were not a sure thing as what Helm seems to be at this point in time.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't proven anything, obviously, but the hands, he even said in his immediate availability the other day that hands has been a good thing for him his whole career.
Love it. Absolutely.
So Warren Sharp has put out 2025 international games late last night. Good Morning Football is going to make these official within the hour. We could run through what Warren Sharp is saying will be international football this upcoming season. Plus, another RKW hypothetical. What if, hear me out, what if Will Levis plays really well this offseason and Cam Ward doesn't? That's next. Tuesday morning, RKW 1045 The Zone and streaming live on Zone TV. Hit the subscribe button while you are there and join the Zone community of over 15,000 who have already subscribed to the 1045 The Zone YouTube channel. It is our most active and best community. You'll enjoy it. They'll be nice to you most of the time. So will we. Always, if you watch the show on YouTube. 615-737-1045. Going to get into a Titans hypothetical this morning, as we will continue to do throughout the offseason. But, Ramon, Warren Sharp late last night put out international NFL games. These are unconfirmed. They will be confirmed by Good Morning Football and NFL Network in 20 minutes. Warren Sharp is reputable enough that I'm willing to at least give this a little bit of oxygen.
It lines up.
Brazil, week 1, Chargers, Chiefs. We knew that. Ireland, week 4. The team that you played for 11 seasons, the Pittsburgh Steelers, would take on the Minnesota Vikings.
It's the same game we played in London. Was against the Vikings. They have a huge following over there.
Why is that?
I couldn't link it other than like the Viking heritage, maybe.
Sure.
Legitimately, I have no idea, Will. They have, we were the away team. So yeah, it was nuts though.
It's funny. At my soccer pub that I go to here in Nashville, there was this guy that was doing a football trip around the United States, like American football trip around the U.S., who's a fan of my soccer club, Arsenal. And I watched a game with him there, and we kept in touch on Instagram, and he's a Vikings fan.
Yeah.
So that checks out. Well, the Vikings are going to play in Europe back-to-back weeks, according to Warren Sharp. They will be in London week 5 to take on Cleveland, which is the game that we thought was the Titans' really only chance of being in Europe.
Yeah.
So it looks like that's not happening. No. So Browns-Vikings would be week 5, if Warren Sharp is right. Week 6 would be Jets and Broncos. So again, Bo Nix and Denver being propped up a little bit. That would be a second straight London game for the Jets, second straight season.
Jets need that. Heck, they can't win a home crowd either, so you might as well send them overseas.
That's true. Jags-Rams, week 7, the Gladstone Bowl. James Gladstone playing against his former employer. Germany, Colts-Falcons in Berlin. And in the Santiago Bernabeu, the first ever NFL game in Spain, Dolphins-Commanders, week 11.
Would absolutely love that trip. Oh, that was
Spain?
Yeah. Oh,
I've heard Madrid is awesome. I've never been to Spain before.
Savage told us about Madrid. Alejandro Villanueva, who I played with, loves Spain. Oh, my gosh.
It'd be fun.
That would be fun.
That stadium is kind of like a mix between Tottenham and SoFi.
Yeah.
The Bernabeu, they just did like the ribbon board around the top like they have in Atlanta, but they also have the retractable field like Tottenham does.
Oh, where he drop it down?
It's the home of Real Madrid, who's like the biggest soccer club in the world in the history of the sport.
Yeah, that technology is pretty insane.
It is wild. It is totally wild.
I'm surprised the Jags only doing one.
That is what Warren Sharp says, yeah.
They're usually a back-to-back week type of team, but also
they were last year.
I mean, with their new GM and et cetera, I guess this is one of those situations where they're going to try to build the brand of the Jaguars back home. So good on them, maybe.
So we're doing hypothetical questions throughout the spring and summer about the upcoming NFL season. We've gone around the AFC South and asked a question about pretty much everybody in the division at this point. There was one, though, I wanted to circle back to, Ramon, with the Titans. Our friend Mike in Cleveland has taken credit for this on YouTube. Mike in Cleveland is one of our favorites, so when he wants credit, I'll give him credit.
Yes, sir.
What if, Ramon Foster, Cam Ward struggles this offseason and Will Levis doesn't? I'm not speaking it into existence. I'm certainly not wishing for it to happen. I hope the very best for Cam Ward at this point because he is the future and barring something crazy, he's most likely going to be the present. But let's just have the conversation at this point, heading into the offseason, and yesterday, the first day they ever worked out together as Tennessee Titans. What if Will Levis outperforms Cam Ward this offseason?
Oh, that's a deep breath to be taken on that one. The city would riot, okay? Because I even heard somebody else, I think it was Bam on 3HL yesterday, saying, well, you can't roll him back out. There's been the biggest conversation more than anything. But you're welcome to the league moment, man. It always hits you dead in the face. And it's a matter of what are the coaches willing to let you go through to let you grow up more than anything. The same way with Levis. The flip pass or the flip six that he had, like he had to start again. So Levis being the guy, though, let's get to that conversation. Levis being the guy and Cam Ward having to sit a little bit, it honestly would, I think, stymie the growth of Cam Ward. It would be a Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love situation to me almost. Now, here's the other part. You'll probably get more wins, right? You have the ability to say, as a coach, I never gave up on my guy. As a coach, you have the ability to say, you know what, this is a true competition and Cam just isn't ready right now. For the fan side of it, you're not supposed to care about it. And more than anything, this will be one of the biggest growth moments that Cam Ward would ever have as a football player in general. To be the number one overall guy, to have to sit back and watch somebody else. But what I would say is this, the way I think Cam Ward is wired, he would probably learn more from being able to sit and watch. Most people would prefer that. The number one overall pick usually doesn't get that grace, though. And that's the biggest issue is I think a lot of folks would blame, to be quite honest with you, Brian Callahan, Bo Nix, and Coach, golly, I'm forgetting his name right now, the offensive coordinator.
Nick Holtz?
Nick Holtz.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the blame would go
Bo
to
Nix
them.
also. Bo
I
Hardigree.
said Bo Nix. Jeez, my name's just thrown off.
Oh, you're all right.
Bo Hardigree, Callahan, and Nick Holtz. Because it's on them to get him prepared. Now, here's what we also know is this. They said they will be fair to Will Levis. As a coach, this is the ultimate scenario that you want, is to say, I never quit on you. But you also stop what you hope is the hype and glorification of what Cam Ward can turn this franchise into about a year, though. I think a lot of blame would go to Callahan if that did happen. Why did you mess it up? Because Cam Ward had messed it up nowhere else. I think the focus goes to the front office at that point. Can you actually coach this guy up?
Is it a requirement that Cam Ward starts week 1?
Yeah,
Think so?
I think so.
So you think there's not a world we could live in where Will does start week 1 for the Tennessee Titans, regardless of who they're playing, which we'll find out tomorrow?
I don't think so. I absolutely picking one of one in the year that Levis had, right? He has to be the guy moving forward. It'll be a competition in how they really play it up, but he's supposed to start week 1.
So I think the only way that Cam Ward is not your week 1 starter is if there is some kind of disruption in his practice time. If there is some kind of weird injury.
Okay.
God forbid.
Hamstring.
You know, like something random that happens that takes away 2 or 3 weeks of him starting football games in the preseason, in the training camp. Like, that to me is the only way that you put in Will Levis instead. And to be quite honest with you, yes, at the beginning of this draft process, I was very open to the Titans having a quarterback starting the season and Cam Ward sitting behind whoever that player was. However, I'm not interested in that player being Will Levis. Because Will Levis kind of had his shot already and threw it away. So if Will Levis really outperforms Cam Ward this offseason, I think it's a good thing for the Titans because I think that 5th-round pick that you might want to get for Levis could turn into a 4 and you just give a 6 back in return. Yeah. Or a 4 and you give a 7, or a 5 and a 6 and you give your own 6, something like that. I don't think it's the worst thing, though. And I do think that there should be an expectation that Will Levis will start ahead of Cam Ward at the beginning of this offseason process. Like, Cam Ward is still going to have to earn the reps with the ones throughout this process.
Remember the conversation we had a little bit yesterday, though? Does he? Or do you want him to already have the reps with the ones?
I think both can be true.
Okay, all right, for sure.
I think earning it means, to me, by the beginning of training camp.
Okay.
But until then, through OTAs, through minicamp, through all these mandatory and voluntary workouts, Cam Ward, you don't want him to just be handed QB1 and the opportunity to throw to all of those receivers in team periods.
I'll contest this, though, because it's one calendar today I think that does signify where or who your starters are going to be, and that is minicamp. Because everybody's in town. It's the closest simulation to what the season practice is also. You get the longest amount of time, and everybody has to be there. And that's where, to me, I think by minicamp, in my opinion, the decision has to be made at that point, barring, like you said, an injury, barring Cam Ward just having a case of the turnovers, right? Like the interceptions. I don't think there's an opportunity for Will to have it unless Will just simply outplays him in these preseason games or Cam Ward craps the bed the first 4 games of the season.
So if Cam Ward has a Ryan Tannehill-like training camp, we're talking 2022, 2021, like those seasons where Ryan Tannehill was an interception machine in training camp. If that's Cam Ward, still trying to fix a lot of those hero ball issues he had at all of his stops in college, is he still starting week 1 for you?
Yeah, I think he still does.
I think so, too.
It's going to have to take real game missteps to actually sit him down for a little bit.
So let's ask another question then. Is that fair to Brian Callahan?
Is that fair?
And his job security? If you're putting a quarterback out there that might not give you the best chance to succeed right away, should he be judged for the wins and losses that come in 2025? Because with one, you can't have the other. If Will Levis gives you the best chance to win, and you are still putting in Cam Ward at the beginning of the season, you are giving Brian Callahan a clean slate, to me.
The issue with Brian Callahan and him getting a clean slate and how he's going to be judged is how he's judged, to me, and I continue to say, the entire team. If you can see that Cam Ward is just can't read the defense, I will say this too, and not that he's ever had that problem.
Sure.
But if it turns into that, I look at the coaches. I look at this, what are you allowing him to do offensively, which is why I do think they're taking this simple approach to saying, hey, no, we got to get the baseline first of what this offense is, and we'll let you do your thing after the fact. If he's rolling out of the pocket, Will, and throwing across his body and the interceptions are happening, then no, I'm not blaming Callahan for that one. That's on the quarterback at that point. You sit him and you put somebody else in, Will Levis or whoever as Brandon Allen, whoever is going to be at that point.
Tim Boyle,
come on down. But if it's a situation where he can't throw open because of the concept is creating interception or the defenses are tricking him, then that, yes, is a Brian Callahan conversation right there.
Sure.
I'm not sure if I'm in the mulligan game for Cali this year or not. Is this a make-or-break year for him? But here's the side of it for me. You got the number 1 overall pick, and for the most part, every coach has been in this situation have either gotten fired, Matt Rule, or have actually elevated their guys up. We're talking about Sean Payton. We're talking about the head coach in Washington. We're talking about DeMeco Ryans. They fired a coach for C.J. Stroud, the offensive coordinator. That's the only side of it that he has that he can find himself out of it. He's the head coach play caller, but he's also got a coordinator he can potentially let go and say, you know what, I'm taking on all responsibilities at this point.
I think at this point, if you are admitting what you did earlier this offseason, that the Titans are in a rebuild where you are more focused on first downs versus touchdowns. In the process that you were at the beginning of, you play Cam Ward for all 17 games this upcoming season as long as he is healthy. You don't put him in harm's way, but once you go down that road, there is no reason to bench him and take him out because you are trying to build up a franchise quarterback that can allow you to have competitive success in the AFC South in 2026 and beyond and into a new stadium. So if all of that is the case, then Brian Callahan needs ample time to work with said quarterback and continue his development. This needs to be a clean slate season. We're not even turning on the switch that would make his seat hot, if that's what we're admitting. Because I do think there is a world we could live in where Will Levis has a better training camp than Cam Ward. Will Levis is going into his 3rd season. Will Levis finally has the same offensive coordinator and offensive staff for back-to-back seasons for the first time since he was at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really at Penn State, right? Like, he has had a revolving door of play callers and coaches. There is reasonable optimism to think that he will be better than he was last season. Now, again, I'm not putting him in week 1 unless Cam Ward gets hurt. I don't think he's going to be that much better.
No.
But if we're admitting that the best quarterback might not be playing week 1, then you're also admitting that no one should go on the hot seat in 2025. Nobody in that organization.
I think that's fair. The other part, too, of the success of Cam Ward in year 1, I think we'll have to rely more on his talent than the actual playmate, because this is so foreign to him as far as what he's seen from an NFL team. The football size is different. The defense is going to be a little bit more smarter. They're more savvy and everything else, because if you look at the first years of the guys that have had a whole lot of success, Stroud, let's go Jaden, let's go Bo, they relied a lot upon their talent more than anything. So I know they're trying to keep him in a box. How much are you going to allow him to roam, though, before you have to either pull his chain or just say, yes, this is our guy? Because, again, I feel like that's what was allowed a little bit with Will Levis. He went from an 8-4 touchdown interception rate to 13-12 the next year.
Right.
Like, that is I'm talking about a huge fall off as far as the production. You're taking away just as much as you're giving the way Will Levis is slated. I was looking up guys last night. It's just like, who are guys that, had the keys to the owner, had the keys to the organization and fell off? There's one guy that's a former Colt that falls directly into the Levis story, and that is, I'm not sure if you'll know his name, Jack Trudeau was his name. He turned 10-year career for the not for the Colts, but around the league. He managed to throw an interception, which is kind of what Will Levis somewhat did over his career, once every 23 throws. And he turned into just a guy. And he was also a second-round pick. So it was high expectations for a guy like that simply just can get over the top. They label him on this list as just a guy. He was okay. I think that's what Levis is, and that's why I also say to us why I feel like you got to go with a guy like Cam Ward, because I don't think anybody views Cam Ward as he's just No, you look at Cam Ward and say, for the most part, he's a guy that knows how to play the game, has always won.
Sure.
Always put themselves in the best position. And yes, he's a little quirky in how he throws the football, but nobody can really break him down on how he does it if he makes smart decisions.
Selly hits us up on YouTube and says Callahan was also a part of the problem last year. Forget a mulligan. Levis and Rand have been made the scapegoats, and Callahan is skating by. Forget that. He messed up last season as well. What do you think about that?
I think there's some truth in that.
I do too.
I do think there's some truth in that. It's something we've talked about on the show from time to time.
We have handed out blame to go around.
Too much too soon for him, but here's the other part of it. You got to kind of let your guys roam a little bit more. You got to give Callie credit for pulling the chain on Levis when he did.
Yep, I agree.
You got to give credit for also with what a lot of this fan base want to see. They want to see Cam also cook too.
Yeah.
So I will say this, as much as I want to blame Callahan also, sometimes, Will, we talked about it earlier with these training camp guys, sometimes they just don't have it.
I don't think Will Levis has it. Right.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with Levis, and a lot of our commenters on YouTube this morning say, well, Levis had a terrible camp last year. No, he didn't.
They tried to box him.
He was not terrible.
No.
He wasn't, fantastic, but Will Levis did not have a bad training camp last year. That is total revisionist history. Malik Willis had a fine camp and was shipped off, but Malik Willis never outplayed Will Levis at any point of last season. Malik Willis didn't even outplay Mason Rudolph.
That's what I was going to say, neither Mason.
Malik Willis became what he was as a successful quarterback in Green Bay. He had a fine training camp, let's be honest, but he became a different player once he got with Matt LaFleur. I think the thing with Will Levis that takes away any ability of him to beat out Cam Ward is the fact that he baited and switched you last season from camp to the regular season.
Can't do that.
Because last season, Will Levis had a fine camp. Then the lights came on, and he's memed and he's diving and flipping like a Frisbee the football to the other team in the red zone. That is where Will Levis cannot fool you again, no matter how well he plays this season in training camp. If he plays really well, great. Go get a draft pick for him. Cam Ward is your guy in week one, barring injury. No questions asked.
Yeah. So the original question, I don't know if I ever asked it. If Will Levis does play better or gets another opportunity, plays better, you just roll with the hot hand. That is such a stock answer to give. But here's what I do know. The ego of guys, we watched it last year with Mason and Levis. The egos of these guys, when the guy behind them moves forward, it breaks them. So I think they'll have to handle this Cam Levis situation a whole lot better than they did last year with Mason and Levis. But that could cause a mental collapse almost, in a sense. And I hate to even say that.
Will Levis didn't have an amazing camp last season. But again, even I say that point, we were there every day.
Yeah.
We watched every practice.
Yeah.
Will Levis was not a disaster at training camp last season the way he was in the regular season.
Well, you know what you get. You get Flacco, you get Anthony Richardson. What is Anthony Richardson coming into this year? You still don't know.
No clue. Yeah. 615-737-1045. What do you think? Is there any scenario where Cam Ward does not start week one for the Tennessee Titans? And what if Will Levis outperforms him this offseason? Do you care? More on that next.
We love being part of the moments that matter, which is why we're announcing employee pricing for everyone. You pay what we pay. Employee pricing at Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned, American made.
RKW on 104.5 The Zone continues. We are brewed by Scooter's Coffee. Visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Ramon Foster, Will Bowling, Justin Hawkins is our producer. So we asked the question before the break, and many of you interacting with us on the 104.5 The Zone YouTube channel, the F&M Bank chat about this. What if Cam Ward struggles and Will Levis thrives this offseason? We'd love to hear your thoughts. 615-737-1045. And if there is any way that Will Levis is your week one starter. Ramon, what would it take for Will Levis to get QB1 week one? Is there anything that he can do or Cam Ward, I guess, cannot do?
I don't. I'm going to play conspiracy theorist here for a second. I don't even know if the league is going to allow it. I joke,
Adam
but
Silver's going to come in, David Stern style.
Dude, there's Roger might fly to Nashville for this one. Like, there's truth in comedy, right? Like, there's truth in, like, your sadness. Like, and that's the way I somewhat feel about this. Like, I joke, but, like, as far as the branding of the league, like, Will Levis is one of the most memeable last year failed quarterbacks that you could have ever had with the hype that he had behind him. I don't see a scenario, barring injuries, and I don't even like talking like that he walks out there and you're a quarterback. Will Levis, I just can't see it. I mean, will you lose fans if that's the case almost in a sense? And more than anything, like I said before, we put this back on Cali. You start to question him as a coach if that's the case, too. Now,
I agree.
The fairness of saying, yeah, I believe in all of my guys that I coach is a lie.
Yep.
You don't. I mean, if they do something special, you'll take credit for it. But
sure.
He had a shot, like you said a second ago. I just don't see it. It's Cameron Ward, your starting quarterback at this point.
I agree.
I like that idea.
Well, let's remember this then. If Will Levis has a couple good days or a good week at training camp in the offseason, and this is a question we have gotten a lot, so I'm glad we were able to answer it. And we got one comment on YouTube that says, do you guys think we're idiots? No. This is a question that a lot of fans have discussed and want to know, especially considering the fact that you got rid of a quarterback last season who was on the outside looking in training camp. He ended up being actually pretty decent once he left here.
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of people, a lot of Titans fans, who understandably don't want that to happen again.
The comments we have in our YouTube chat, by the way, join us if you want to.
Yeah,
call
absolutely.
in and give your opinion, too. We got some spicy ones in the F&M Bay. I mean, not the F&M Bay, the YouTube chat right now, too. It's not going to happen. Will Levis is trash. That's one of the comments that come out. Another one, what if a donkey fell out the sky? Yeah. Then you'd be under objection.
I mean, that's essentially nice. I mean, Malik Willis turning things around last season was the equivalent of something falling out of the sky. We didn't see that happening, and it did.
And it did.
It's the NFL. These guys are in the league for a reason. They have some level of potential that can be tapped into, and sometimes guys get better.
They do.
Now, granted, I don't think Will Levis is going to get better here because I don't think he's going to be given the time to because you got somebody else, but it's not that far-fetched of an idea that Will Levis could get better with continuity.
Yeah.
Which he finally has for the first time since he was literally at Penn State.
Yes, that's the part of it I agree that somewhat makes it challenging.
I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think he's going to start, but I do think that Will Levis will improve this offseason. I think that is a reasonable thing to expect.
But that's the best thing for the team, though, too, if we can be quite honest about it. We were speaking about a second ago, the Giants quarterback room. You got, three pros for sure, and the fourth one in a rookie, and Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
That have playing experience, that have won football games in the NFL. If Will Levis gets this offense to become the best backup that you can have here in Nashville, if something happens to Cam Ward, that's the best thing going for your team at that point. You got a guy that can run the offense so that your team don't fall. Say what you want to about trying to have a high draft pick. You love to win football games, so
Sure.
as a fan.
I'm not predicting these things to happen. I'm not saying that the most likely scenario is that Will Levis outperforms Cam Ward. We're simply having a discussion because imagine if you had told Vikings fans last season that Sam Darnold would be an MVP candidate.
Boy. But it also sets up confusion going into that next year because what is a J.J. McCarthy?
Right.
That's what it does.
The guy that's next.
The guy that's next that nobody knows anything
That
about.
nobody knows. And again, that was injury. And that's what I'm saying. The only way that Will Levis is kept around here is if Cam Ward gets hurt. And God forbid, because we don't want that happening. obviously.
What we do know is this. If Will Levis does come back out there and start marching dubs the same way that Sam Darnold did,
At least he's still under contract.
You will spray the cologne again. You will spray the cologne in the air. I know I got burnt. I think got 1 or 2 bottles. It will be back on eBay to be sold for a profit.
YouTube comment says, if we trade away Levis this offseason, we better not trade him to a team we play. He'll throw for 505 touchdowns against us.
But are you mad at that, or do you want that? I mean, there was a lot of people rejoicing when Malik Willis walked back in the Nissan Stadium and did what he did and said, look, I told you. Levis has a fan base here.
Yeah, he certainly does. There are a lot of Kentucky fans in Nashville that love him just because of that, and I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I do think there's another element of this that is significant, and it's not tanking. I'm not advocating for the Titans to tank, but if Will Levis is the better option right away and wins you some games, what does that mean? It means you just have a worse draft pick in 2026. Like, honestly.
Yeah, you do.
Losing with Cam Ward is not the worst thing because it gives Cam Ward more weapons in the NFL draft in 2026. Again, I'm not going to hope they lose. I'm not advocating for tanking at all. But if you win games in the NFL, you need it to be with players and with people who are going to be around. Otherwise, really all it does is maybe make your supporting cast for the guys who are going to be around a little bit worse moving forward. And that's what I think this organization now understands, Ramon, is that within this rebuild, taking your time has benefits to it.
Yes, it does.
They would, if you go in there and even gave them truth serum, they would rather compete this season. There is no doubt. They do not want to lose. Do not hear me when I say that. Nobody in that building wants to lose. But I do think there is an understanding now as they build this thing back up that there are ways that they can use the cards they are given now to help out their young quarterback. And putting Will Levis out there to win you some games, I don't think is in that equation.
No, I don't think so. I'm trying to find that you bring up that point on drafting later. To that same point, the Minnesota Vikings picked 24th as far as like what Sam Darnold was able to do. They ended up picking an offensive lineman, Donovan Jackson, out of Ohio State.
And granted, I'd rather do that than be terrible. Like, I'd rather compete and maybe win the division, but that is now the card they have now. Sam Darnold's not there anymore, and it's harder to help J.J. McCarthy.
With the team, well, he's got one of the best wide receivers in the world, so there is that part of it too.
But, I mean, offensive line, they need help there.
They need help.
615-737-1045 is our number. More of your reactions in the F&M Bank chat. 1045 The Zone YouTube channel is alive. That chat room is popping this morning. It has been very active. When we come back, are Titans fans overreacting about one player that may or may not have been on the field over the weekend? We'll talk about Xavier Restrepo and how this fan base is consuming his content next.
Hey, good people, outdoor backyard enthusiasts, it's Ramon Foster. If you're ready to fight back and win your yard with relentless mosquitoes like I was, let me tell you about Mosquito Max from All American Pest Control. All American Mosquito Max is one of the top proven solutions for both mosquitoes and year-round pest prevention too, man. With All American's Mosquito Max, you get monthly mosquito misting, spiderweb removal, and perimeter pest control around your home. It's the ultimate solution for mosquito-free summer. That's something y'all know. I can't stand the bites, just like y'all, man. So don't let mosquitoes ruin your summer. Make the switch to All American Pest today. Visit yuckbugs.com. That's yuckbugs.com and tell them that Ramon sent you.
It is 8:02 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. The 2025 NFL season schedule continues to take shape before the official release tomorrow. Announced this morning, there is a rematch of the NFC wildcard round, Week 10 at Lambeau Field on Monday Night Football. It's Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Green Bay to face Jordan Love and the Packers. The Eagles will be all over your TV in 2025 as they now have a confirmed 4 primetime games so far as they play on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and a Monday night. All they're missing is Sunday night. In the NBA playoffs, Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers had the Cleveland Cavaliers on the brink of elimination as they try to knock off the Cavs tonight in Game 5, leading the series 3-1. Tip-off is set for 6 p.m. on TNT. And Game 5 tonight between the Denver Nuggets and Oklahoma City Thunder, with their series tied up at 2 games apiece. Tip-off for that one is set for 8:30, and it is also on TNT. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW 104.5 The Zone. Into the second half already on this Tuesday morning. We are fueled by Scooters Coffee. Visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Ramon Foster and Will Bowling. Justin Hawkins is our producer. And coming up in 15 minutes, VolQuest's Austin Price, who talked with now Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar, broke the news that Joey is on campus, got there yesterday. We'll get the latest from Austin as the quarterback battle begins officially now in Knoxville. He'll join us in 15 minutes. DJ Shockley, covering the Georgia Bulldogs, continues our SEC Spring Football Series coming up at 9:20 this morning. But Ramon Foster, I want to ask a question that I think is a legitimate one. Are Titans fans overreacting to how much Xavier Restrepo could contribute this year?
Yeah. It's just like a new laptop. You know what I'm saying? You're excited. Or a new iPhone. It's pretty much that. I'm excited to play with the phone, figure out as much as I possibly can. I saw the press about it. I saw it actually be compared to a Samsung, all those types of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's essentially what is happening right now. You saw what your franchise quarterback in Cam Ward did with a guy like that. And it's been a while since you've had a guy like him have this type of fanfare coming into your team. Now, if they're looking at it on the side of, hey, low investment, high return, then, yeah, that's something to be excited for with Xavier Restrepo. But here's what I'll also say. In the NFL, there is a strong pecking order as it pertains to when you get your shot and when you get your turn.
Sure.
He's got 3, maybe 4, depending upon Chig and Gunnar Helm in front of him before he gets his chance. Those types of guys have to develop over years. I always look at Edelman in a sense. Like, that has to grow and has to be earned with a guy that's established. Here's the thing about it. Cam Ward's in a position to where he's got to establish and grow with his draft picks, the veterans that's already on this team, and just the offense in general before he says, yes, Xavier Restrepo, you're my guy. Yes, it's a tad bit much, but I can understand it, though, too. But there's a long line, Will, before we get to him.
I agree. I think Titans fans might be taking it a bit too far on how much Restrepo can make a difference immediately. Can he make the roster? Yes. Do I understand fans being excited about his connection with Cam Ward and what that could mean for the future? Absolutely. I don't think that's an overreaction at all of just what he could be if he hits, because this is a guy who had an unbelievable level of production at Miami. Yes. The film does not lie on Restrepo. And Teron Davenport knows his stuff, and when he writes the other day, Restrepo is the most polished receiver out here, that means something. He's not just saying that just to say it, to get people excited. I believe Teron 100% when he says that.
We're talking to Dr. Dyson, then jumping in on this real quick. He said yesterday it's because of Restrepo's size and his inabilities that the other have naturally is why he had to do that too.
Right.
So is he also saying there's a ceiling, a lower ceiling to what Restrepo's going to do over the course of his career until those guys get called up?
Sure.
Like, you should be rooting for the draft picks.
Right. And that's the part of it I think we need to keep our priorities in order. There's a reason why they drafted Chimere Dike and Elikiah Manor. And automatically putting Xavier Restrepo at the top of that list, I think, is unfair to those guys and to Gunnar Helm. Because if you are a slot receiver that makes an NFL roster, you are most likely a punt returner or a kick returner as well. And they kind of drafted Chimere Dike to do that too.
Yeah.
That's the challenging part. Chimere Dike is the deep crosser guy, as over the middle, because Cam Ward is lethal between 10 to 20 yards over the middle of the field. That is where he makes a lot of his money at quarterback. Well, Chimere Dike is a perfect fit to do that, but then take it and keep running with it. Restrepo being open and being able to catch the football, there is value in that, and going down and being a technician over the middle, being a safety valve. But Chimere Dike's ceiling is someone who can also do that and find those spaces, but then keep running with 4.4 speed, with 4.3 speed. That is why Chimere Dike, I think, is the one that I'm most excited about.
Now, if we don't want to deal with the diva side of things, which can be good for teams, to be quite honest with you, like, I do think when you got a guy, give me the bleeping ball, hey, the ball needs to come to me first, or the understanding that the offense run through this guy first, that is a beautiful place to be, because you got one heck of a playmaker for guys like that. That's the only thing I bring up as it pertains to Calvin Ridley. How are you to expect a guy that's been in the league this long, that carries this salary, to not want and demand the ball? But the conversation that we're having is about Xavier Restrepo, who is low on the totem pole as far as the organization and in the NFL. It just doesn't work like that more times than not. Like, Puka Nacua turning into something? All right, well, that's also because Cooper Kupp was hurt, right? That's why a guy like him was a lower round guy, non-first rounder, that turned into a bigger star like that. Also, his measurables and comps are a little bit bigger and better than what Xavier Restrepo turns you into. Like, I love the Cinderella story, but I also love a high-tier player, too, and I think that's what you got out of the other guys that you don't have up front with Restrepo.
It is a great story, and I would love for Xavier Restrepo to make this team and be a legitimate slot option for the Titans moving forward. Don't hear me trying to belittle the guy or say that he has no chance. I think he has a chance to be a pro and be a pretty dang good one. But he's going to have to earn that right to be a starting slot receiver in this league, because he's far from it right now. I think we got to keep our powder dry a little bit on Restrepo.
I think one of the best comments to come up about this conversation is from Rookie 18 in the chat. Said, we need a guy like Restrepo on this team. I take him over Kenzie and Burt. Facts.
Sure.
True. 100% true.
But there's a long line of guys that are still ahead of those two as well.
You know when you want him? 5 wide. Okay, third and 2 or something like that, where you know he can win in that moment. If he is your premier player as far as the offense goes, I think we got a little bit of a problem, to be quite honest with you, in his rookie year.
And you can't guarantee that a guy, DeMario asked on YouTube about James Prochet, you can't guarantee that he doesn't make the team as a special teams ace. Because bottom of roster receivers are often guys that play multiple roles. Like, it's hard to keep a slot receiver on your roster who's doing nothing else but just catching footballs.
Yeah. It's hard as an undrafted.
And as bad as they were on special teams at the beginning of last season, Ramon, if they keep Restrepo and it makes them worse on special teams and they're bad again on special teams, which I don't see happening because Bones Fossil is the special teams coach now, like, we're going to be having the same conversations we did last year. Well, can Brian Callahan manage a staff? Can Brian Callahan manage all 3 phases of the game? Like, he has got to understand that the special team side of the game is managed totally by John Fossil, by Bones Fossil. And the guys that he feels like he needs in order for this special teams unit to go from bad to good this season, he's going to have to get.
I'm seeing a comment. Oh, okay. I'm seeing a comment in our chat right now. Oh, okay, all right. He cleared it up. I thought he was saying that Restrepo's a solid number 2. And I was, who?
Yeah, no.
But he said Calvin is.
Would love for him to be, but he's not right now.
My bad, right now. And I guess a good bit of this chat is saying that Calvin's a number 2. Calvin Ridley's a number 2.
For a Super Bowl contender, that's probably about right.
On this team, he's a 1, though.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're in the conversation. My mouth dropped when I saw that comment. I thought we was talking about Restrepo being a number 2. Like, there's a long way for him to go, buddy, before we get that conversation.
Do we give Calvin Ridley enough credit for the production he had last season with Mason Rudolph and Will Levis at quarterback?
Do we give him enough credit?
Because we talk a lot about how Calvin Ridley took time to adjust and didn't hit the ground running right away. But Calvin Ridley was right at 1,000 yards last season, and he had a revolving door at quarterback and an offensive line that could rarely protect the quarterback long enough for him to be able to get the ball.
That's a wide receiver's nightmare. So, yeah, he deserves, I think, a little bit more. Because if you got an incompetent quarterback or below-the-line quarterbacks, that ruins your career. That's where the conversation, you fell off.
Yeah.
Like, to be quite honest with you, that will get you out of the league in a sense.
Like, you'd love Calvin Ridley to be your 2 when you've got some all-pro number 1, but Calvin Ridley is still a serviceable number 1 wide receiver.
100% will. That's the expectation. I mean, I know he wants it too. Now,
100%.
That's where I will also charge the play callers in that sense too. How are you freeing that guy up?
Scheme him open, right.
Because I've seen guys do that with an older Hines Ward because he was still the team's number 1.
Sure.
We going to get you the ball, Hines. You know? And that's why I charge Coach Callahan to be able to manage those types of things moving forward. He deserves that in a sense.
He had a couple drops. He had, those first few weeks where he wasn't, that level of a player. But Calvin Ridley came on strong after the season was kind of already gone last year. And I think he deserves more credit for it than he gets.
Yeah, for sure. Fascinating conversation right there. But the Restrepo conversation, I don't think it's going to go. That's why I had to ask Dyson yesterday, if you the 2 draft picks, man, Chimere DK and Alec Ayumaner, I'm a little ticked off.
Yeah, I would be too.
Just a little bit. I'm a little
Not a bad thing to be ticked off either.
No, and it ain't his fault.
Not
it ain't
ticked off at like
fault.
any fans personally. Just ticked off like, all right,
Yeah.
watch me work.
That part of it, like
right.
no
That's
envy or
That's
anything
healthy.
like that. Yeah, like
Absolutely healthy.
hopefully what you want is it to build a monster with those dudes, Will.
Coming up next, VolQuest's Austin Price will join us. Tennessee's newest quarterback is on campus. Plus, what in the world is going on with Tennessee baseball? Austin Price joins us next.
It's Ramon Foster for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Good people, personal testimony right here, man. I went in there last week, and I told you guys my back was a little iffy, and so was my knee. To be quite honest with you, walking up steps became a little problematic for me until I went and saw the Wellness Institute of Nashville. It's not just the spinal side of things, man. It's also your knee, back, neck, too, man. They would take good care of you, and also this part of it, too. They have their Big 47 special going off right now, which is 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression, which they hooked me up with that also. I keep telling you guys, Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they will not give up to you when it comes to back and knee pain. They are some of the best in the business doing it, and they're in the trenches fighting with you just as much as anybody else. The cool part about this is walking into their facility makes me think I'm back in the NFL. And you can get that same treatment too. Their facility is by far one of the best, man. And their ability to have attention to detail on the small things, like the zero gravity machines, the state-of-the-art spinal decompression machines. They have cold lasers, hot lasers, whatever they have to make you feel better. And it is possible. So call today the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Ask them about the Big 47 deal. You can reach out to them at 615-246-5009 or go to painisbad.com.
RKW 1045 The Zone is brewed by Scooters Coffee, locally owned near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Ramon Foster and Will Bowling, joined by VolQuest's Austin Price for his weekly conversation with us, getting the latest out of Knoxville. Good morning, Austin. How are you?
I'm doing great. Christy O'Brien's doing that great traffic promo, and then the glass breaks. That's a great wrestling, just like jumping the promo,
I love it. There's a lane closed and jolted. I love it.
Christy, shout out to Christy. I've never met her, but I guarantee she's awesome. A little bit of
slow-go on 440. It's Austin. Here we go on a Tuesday morning. Great way to start the morning. Austin, you had the report over the weekend that Joey Aguilar was going to be on campus on Monday. It is now Tuesday. Is Joey Aguilar there, and what have been the first hours like for him as he meets his coaches and teammates, perhaps in person?
He arrived yesterday and was in the building yesterday afternoon, spending time with what teammates are still in town, and then the coaching staff who is in town and not out recruiting. So able to kind of hit the ground running yesterday and, kind of start looking at offensive installs for himself. Obviously, already installed for everybody else, but kind of going over the playbook and just kind of familiarizing himself with the building, seeing faces and kind of getting to know everybody.
So, Austin, what is this time of year like for these players and player-led workouts that can be happening, in the coming weeks? Obviously, the summer and the fall, in the way things have been now for a few years. But what is kind of the order of operations now as exams get done? I mean, how many players are still on campus to work with him or work with other position groups?
Very few. Most of them are headed to the house and, they get done with the semester and, head off to get a, couple of week break before they got to be back here for really when it begins in June. They hit the ground running with all their summer stuff, with the strength and conditioning staff, and June and July leads right up to fall camp. So this is kind of that last true getaway before really things get cranked up. Now, there's some downtime, obviously, in June and July, but at the same time, for the most part, man, those guys are really hitting the ground running and really going full force, come the 1st of July, or sorry, the 1st of June.
Austin Price with us this morning. Austin, man, this is also the time of year it seems like recruiting kind of amps up a little bit more as far as coaches and commitments and stuff like that, man. One of the Vols commitments, Tyreek King out of Knoxville, man, said he's shutting it down. He's a top 100 recruit, man. What does it mean for the Vols as far as the receiving corps and what's to come the rest of this summer? Well, Ramon, it was awesome. That was a phenomenal question. So much so that it made Austin not be able to have an answer
Austin,
right there.
You still got us?
No, sorry.
There he is.
Guys. We've got out of posturing season. We're now to that point where they are, going to start taking visits. You got 865 Live coming up Memorial Day weekend on that Saturday. Tennessee's going to have a ton of top targets in that weekend. And Tennessee's hit rate has been really, really good on kids that attend 865 Live and subsequently attend an official visit, 2 to 4 weeks later. It's not fail-proof, obviously, because you can't take everybody and not everybody's going to, want to come. But their hit rate's been really pretty good during Josh Heupel's tenure here with that event leading into OVs in June. Getting your top players here will be very, very important. Tyreek King has been committed for a long time. To get him unwavering and focused on recruiting to help you for the next month is big because, he's a top 100 player, really fantastic athlete. I think his best football is still ahead of him. I don't think, he is not an old player for his age. In other words, he's not a holdback that's, going to be 19 come the fall. This is a kid who's still really young in the grand scheme of things. And so I think it was big. There's a lot of chatter out there, He simply wanted to have games called by Ramon Foster, and that's a big reason he shut it down.
See,
Don't we all?
I knew he'd circle back around with that. That was good right there, Austin. By the way, I got chastised, on Friday by Hubs, too, man. He didn't appreciate our relationship that we had on the air the other day. He said you said something ill about him, and he felt like he needed to bring that over the airways, just so you know.
Well, because somebody put it on Twitter, put the audio on Twitter. It was fantastic.
Yeah, snitches get stitches.
That's right.
Is what we're doing. With that being said, we've talked a lot about everybody else this spring, man. And with Larry Johnson leaving, that means that David Sanders Jr. is probably going to be the right tackle. How's his progress going as far as you know? And honestly, the expectation of him being able to man that potential starting right tackle spot, Austin?
Well, I think he was going to be the right tackle anyway, but it obviously puts a lot more pressure on him. By all accounts, he's continued to do everything the right way, continues to thrive. Had a really good, strong spring practice for a true freshman, but he'll need to continue that. This is he needs to have a big summer because he needs to put on added weight. Athletically, he is as gifted as they come, but he still needs to put on 10 to 15 more pounds. If he does that, which is pretty easy to do with the nutrition program and all the weight staff and all that, if he's able to do that, then I think, it boils down to just getting experience and doing what he knows how to do. So he's going to be Tennessee's starting right tackle. And then the real question is who is, options 3 and 4 behind he and Lance Hurd, Bennett Warren, Jesse Perry, kind of who is that next in line if one of those two have to come out of the football game.
Austin Price of VolQuest on 3, our guests this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. On the recruiting front, Austin, I know Craig Tutt and Zion Gibson are two guys who Tennessee continues to meet with. Craig Tutt, the safety here out of Oakland and Murfreesboro. Zion Gibson, the highly touted Alabama commitment, ranked to the top 75 players by On3. How good can this 2026 class be, Austin, as a whole? And where are they with those two guys as they continue to meet with them in person?
I think a lot of it depends, Will, on Tennessee's ability to close some of these recruitments out over the next 6 weeks. I think that'll be, really the thing that tells the tale on, how high this class can be. Can it be top 10? Matt Ray, who works with me, obviously believes it can be. I think it can be. I think they just have to go out and win some of these battles, which means you got to flip a guy like Zion Gibson, right? You got to land guys like Craig Tutt and Zach Groves and Joel Wyatt, bring in an offensive lineman or two, a couple other edge pass rushers, a linebacker or 3. So, I think, being able to venture outside the state and get a player, even like a guy like Xavier Restrepo, top-ranked running back in the country, you're in a really good spot with him. To me, it's Tennessee versus Michigan. Ohio State and Georgia are right behind those two, but I think at the top it's Tennessee and Michigan. You got to land a guy like that because he's going to alter where your class is ranked. And so I think that for Tennessee to get top 10, you've got to land your fair share of Joel Wyatt, in-state, highly thought of, top 50 top player, Savion Hyder, 5-star tailback, out of the state of Virginia, so on and so forth.
And also, that was exactly my next question. There's been kind of a white whale that Tennessee has been in the mix for these past couple of seasons. It was Francis Mauigoa. It was Jordan Seaton. Tennessee was kind of the bridesmaid, not the bride. And they were able to secure that guy, David Sanders, last time around. Do you see Savion Hyder being that top-level target this time around? And what is it going to take for Tennessee to beat the Ohio States and the Michigans of the world? Is it NIL? Is it, coaching staff things? Just how do they kind of continue to get over the hump in a science that, as you know as well as anyone, is a very inexact one year to year?
Well, exactly, and every kid's different. It may not be NIL, as we said here in May, and by the time you get to June and all the offers come in, it may be NIL, right? You just don't know. Because every recruitment changes and it morphs and, it evolves as the recruitment goes along. So Tennessee did a great job of landing David Sanders a year ago, where they did miss out on Francis Mauigoa or Jordan Seaton, the 2 previous classes.
Austin,
all those were offensive linemen. Hyder is a running back. Tennessee's yet to land a premier, top 50 top player number one running back type player. And here Savion Hyder is a realistic opportunity for Tennessee. And if Tennessee can get him down here for 865 live, I think that's a real possibility. If they can get him down here for 865 live and then, get him back on his official visit, I think Tennessee's chances go up dramatically.
Awesome. When you look at just how recruiting evolves and unfolds in front of us, is there any blowback as far as the Maliava situation on the West Coast, as in relation to what the Vols are and the perception moving forward, or is it just a one-off situation you think moving forward?
I think a lot of one-off. Now, can Tennessee go out and recruit Polynesian kids at a high level? I don't know. Maybe that's where it's affected, but I don't think West Coast kids are going, the whole thing with Nico blew up. And, because every kid moves, so many kids move around. You look at the quarterbacks that were drafted in this last NFL cycle, and it's like Shadur went from Jackson State to Colorado, and Dylan Gabriel went from, UCF to Oklahoma to UCLA for 5 seconds, or maybe it was UCLA, then Oklahoma. Either way, he was there for 5 seconds. And then now at Oregon, right? All those quarterbacks were transfer-type players. Jackson Dart started his career on the West Coast and went to Ole Miss. So I don't think moving around really alters things. And I don't think it ever got adversarial in the media. Josh Heupel took the high road. Yao Maliava and his family, outside of a few tweets, really kind of just laid low and, let it play out. So I don't think so, Ramon. I guess you don't truly know, but I don't think so, because at the end of the day, if the check's clear, most of these kids don't care if you're running through the tee or you're wearing houndstooth or you're saying gig 'em or any of that stuff anymore. It's, did the check clear? Okay, we're good. The check cleared.
Makes sense. On the other side of things, too, when you Will and I had a conversation yesterday as far as Joey Aguilar being on campus. And he asked the question, does Joey win? And I said, well, who does the staff want to win the starting quarterback position? Starting quarterback going into the fall. Also, is there a little bit of, they much rather have it be Aguilar considering his experience, or does Jake Merklinker really have a strong chance to win this? Because I do think coaches have plans that they like to see. They just never really say it.
Yeah, I think everybody has a real opportunity, and that's not hyperbole. It's not, lip speak. I think ultimately, this is a real competition. Do I think that Joey maybe has an inside track or Jake has an inside track because they've been here longer or had more experience elsewhere longer than maybe George does? Yeah, sure. Okay. But I think George, if he went out and just played well, would have an opportunity as well. I don't think that the staff is going to turn their nose up at anybody if they can give them a chance to win. So, but experience matters. Ramon, when you were a rookie in the NFL versus you're an 8-year vet, who was better?
Yeah, I was there.
Maybe your body didn't feel as good as a rookie, but you were more experienced and you were a better player. And I think when you've had that experience, at Appalachian State for the last couple of years, and I think both good and bad, right? I think last year when you're running for your life and you don't have a lot of playmakers and you're making mistakes, I think you learn from all that. So, for Joey, he's got the experience, but he has no experience in the offense. Merklinger has no experience, but he has a year and a half in the offense. Mm-hmm. So I think it's an open competition, and I don't think that they really care who wins the job. I think they want both to push each other. Iron sharpens iron, as everybody says, and, see where it lands come, let's say, second or third week of August.
Mm-hmm. Austin Price of VolQuest with us. So, Austin, I thought it was interesting after Tennessee's Saturday loss to Vanderbilt, just the way Tony Vitello talked about his pitching staff and talked about his team. And, Austin, it seems to me like he's kind of fed up. He's kind of throwing up his hands saying, I've tried almost everything I can at this point. Maybe this team just doesn't have that edge to it that last year's team had, even that a couple of years ago when they started slowly and caught fire late had. How frustrated does it feel like he is, Austin, just maybe with this team? And what is Tennessee's pathway to break it out of this slump? Or is this just kind of who they are at this point?
I don't think it's who they are, right? I mean, you could have said the same thing about the golf team. I mean, I thought, okay, just get to regionals, and that's the ceiling for the Tennessee golf team. And yet here they are leading through 2 of 3 rounds. All they have to do is finish in the top 5 to make it to La Costa and the NCAA championships. I mean, like, no one saw that coming. So I don't want to say that's just who they are. Right now, they're in a funk. They're struggling to field. They're struggling to hit with runners in scoring position. The bullpen's not been great. Right now, the only thing you can rely on is Eric Fisher to hit home runs and Liam Doyle to be a lockdown on Friday night. Outside of that, it's hit and miss. And so you might field it really good one game and field it bad the next. You may hit it really good one game and not the next. But who's to say that you don't get a reset here? I mean, how many teams that went from kind of the wild card or whatever? Wow. I mean, here, you look at the NBA playoffs. This very well is setting up to be Indiana versus New York. Neither one of those were the 1-2 seeds, in the Eastern Conference. So I don't want to say it's just who they are, but they've got to figure it out, or it will be who they are, and they'll be home 2 weeks from now after getting bounced in the regionals. So they got to figure it out starting this weekend on the road at a place that just does not lose at home a whole lot.
Austin, last one for you. Rick Barnes adding another veteran to his staff. Steve McClain, 33-year college basketball veteran coach. He's been a head coach before, was most recently an assistant at Texas. So they had Amaro Morgan, who had a cup of coffee at Florida State, and now this veteran coach in McClain. What value do you think he can bring to Rick Barnes' staff, and what did you kind of make of the reshuffling that Rick has done now with Rod Clark leaving and a couple openings there?
Yeah, he shifted Lucas Campbell into a different role, which allowed him to bring in McClain. And I mean, Amaro Morgan is a young guy, energetic recruiter, going to relate well to players. Justin Gainey is still young enough to where he kind of is in the same similar mold, even though he's a little bit older. And then you have, some older guys, right, on Rick's staff that, have the experience and maybe, a little more of a, steady hand when it comes to certain things. So he's got a nice balance, and obviously he's got a nice team right now, and we'll see what he does with that last open roster spot, or potentially more than one open roster spot, depending on what comes out of the House case and how many roster spots each team has for the coming season.
How good is it, though, Austin, to watch this rivalry between Tennessee and Vandy baseball kind of get as I want to call it nasty as it is right now? It's kind of fun.
Makes it fun. I obviously, Vanderbilt, 2-time national champ. Corbin's done fantastic things over there. Tony's come in, done fantastic things here in the same state. Tony wins the national title. Some kids are from this state, some kids are not, and the ones that are, whether you're on one side or the other, they play with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I personally think it's fantastic. It's what makes sports fun. No rivalry's fun when the same team wins all the time. Right. Tennessee, Alabama, way more fun the last few years with them volleying back and forth wins. Not fun when Alabama wins off 16 in a row or Tennessee runs off 9 or 10 in a row the year before that. So it more fun, a little more volatile, and we'll see where it goes from here. Maybe they'll rematch in Hoover, depending on what happens this weekend and where everybody's seated out at.
I'm just imagining a super regional with an 8th-seeded Vandy against a 9th-seeded Tennessee, and the city of Nashville would be intense for that one. Would be a very fun time. Austin Price joins us Tuesdays at 8:20 here on the show. You follow him on Twitter at Austin Priceless. The very best coverage of Tennessee athletics, of course, with our friends at VolQuest.com. Thank you, Austin. Good to hear from you, sir.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Austin Price joining us this morning. I tend to agree with him on the baseball team. I'm a little less optimistic. Maybe that's just the way I'm wired, but they're too talented to give up on yet. Yeah. They're still way too talented to just say, that is who they are. I agree with Austin on that.
It to me, not to make it seem like it's a discipline thing, but it to me is a small detail thing with this team. The talent, I think, is probably number 1 in all of college baseball, maybe 1 or 2 other teams.
It's at least top 5. I totally agree.
Top 5.
Totally agree.
The small things in baseball because it's such a sport of failure.
Well, it depends on, too, how you evaluate that talent. Like, on paper, if you're counting a full-strength A.J. Russell, then, they probably are the most talented team in college baseball. But that's not been a luxury Tennessee's been afforded, having a full-strength A.J. Russell for the entire season. And that's sports. You don't always get the best version of your team over the course of a season. That you got to make it work. They got enough resources to backfill that thing and have other options, but guys got to start stepping up this time of year.
Figure out the pitching staff too.
Big time.
That stealing bases blip that they have on there.
I don't know if you can put Marcus Phillips back out there for a Saturday
Ain't just
start.
him though.
I know.
Well, I know he's
and that's
mostly half of it though.
Tennessee's given up the most stolen bases by an SEC team since 2015 this year, according to the broadcast over the weekend. Not good.
Not good.
Not good. 615-737-1045. The NFL schedule continues to come out. We've got some things that have become official over the last hour, including a first ever in NFL history. That's next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Good people, man. Nobody wants to deal with the plumbing, HVAC, or any electrical emergency. Most of the time, you don't even know what it costs or if it'll get fixed right away or if someone is trying to sell you something you don't need. When you call Hiller, their experts are going to solve your problems quickly, and they usually show up promptly and ahead of schedule more times than not, too. So whether it's plumbing, heating, cooling, or electrical, this is the company you need to trust, all right? The price you're told is the price you'll actually pay. There are no hidden fees or surprises with it whatsoever. Another thing is this. You can trust this company. They've been around for over 35 years and are family-owned and operated. Hiller's techs are professional, experienced, and trustworthy, and they're all background checked and drug screened, too. Again, one of the best around. The motto is happy you'll be or the service is free. To book with this company or simply learn more about them, visit happyhiller.com.
RKW wrapping up hour number 3 this morning on 104.5 The Zone, 615-737-1045. How you join in? NFL schedule release. It's always a slow trickle. It's a tease. And something, Ramon Foster, will happen for the first time ever.
Talk to me.
This upcoming season. So an NFL team is going to play back-to-back weeks in 2 different European countries for the first time.
Wow. Setting up shop in 2 different countries?
2 different European countries.
Not like the Jags London game.
No.
Absolutely not. Okay, wow.
This is Sunday, September 28th. Vikings Steelers. Minnesota will play in Dublin, Ireland. And then the next week they'll play in London.
What's the reason for that?
I don't know.
That's kind of strange right there. And then, of course, I look at the other side. They're going to allow families to fly over. Is the team paying for that bill also to allow them?
It's a lot of hotel money.
That's what I was thinking. I doubt it, though, because, I mean, this is your job, so you deal with it however you have to.
Sure.
But 14 days overseas, maybe longer, considering how much they got to set up shop over there.
So the, again, international games that are official, we know reportedly it will be Chiefs-Chargers in Sao Paulo. And the Brazil game, Friday, September the 5th. That's not official yet, but that's been reported by reputable sources. That's going to happen. Vikings, Steelers, like we mentioned. Vikings, Browns. John Breach, CBS, put this out, including this year's game. The Vikings and Browns will have played 8 times since 1990. London will have hosted more of those games than Cleveland.
You know, I'm not.
Since 1990, Minnesota has hosted the Browns 5 times. Cleveland has hosted the Vikings once, and London will have hosted that game twice. How does that make sense?
Nobody wants to see that product.
So they're
on the
repeating multiple matchups. Yeah, there you go. Broncos and Jets at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium Sunday, October 12th. To all the Denver and New York media, you'll want to take your own water bottles. They don't have any cups at Tottenham. They haven't won a cup in years. They don't have any cups.
Somebody gonna report back to Shane.
There's also, like, you can't eat with anything because there's no utensils, there's no silverware. Silverware, no cups, nothing. They don't win up there. Wembley Stadium hosts Rams and Jags. I'm ridiculous, I know it. October 19th. Falcons and Colts in Berlin on November the 9th. And Commanders Dolphins on November the 16th.
What an unlikely matchup right there, Commanders-Dolphins. But it's international branding is what it is, man. I have a question. Do you enjoy this? As somebody that did it, like, my perception of it or my perspective of it is a little bit different. Do you like the international side that they're adding to it, more countries getting involved as a fan?
I don't want any more of it, but I like it.
This is good right here. Keep this where it's at.
I'm fine where it is. Now, granted, they're playing more international games than ever this year. I think Australia is too far. I do.
It's West Coast only if you're doing that.
I think Australia is far too far. I think the Bernabeu will be cool to watch a game in because that is the most iconic club in world soccer, Real Madrid. Yeah. Either them or Barcelona, and Barcelona's redoing their stadium right now too. But I like it. I mean, look, it's for me, like, it's just more of like having a full day of football.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because it starts at 8:30 Central. So I can wake up and immediately be watching football that'll lead straight into the noon games.
I get an opportunity now to wake up and watch it.
That's right.
And actually enjoy it.
That's absolutely
Before
right.
going to church, man. That is. I actually do enjoy it, though, to be quite honest with you. I was talking to somebody the other day about it. I was like, no, I actually enjoyed the growth of it. Like, Roger Goodell gets tipped, it's about $1 million per owner for a reason. And it was for this. It's to grow this sport as big as he possibly can. I don't know if it'll go to worldwide soccer in a sense.
No, it never
American football.
It never will.
But it's fun, I think, for other countries to experience it.
Yeah. I think I've talked to some people about this, and I've mentioned this before, but Tony Husband of Apple TV, who does a lot of the Nashville SC games and does MLS games all around the country. We've had this conversation before because he's grown up a big NFL fan, and he's been a big NFL fan before he even moved to the States, and said, if you guys moved the Super Bowl up a couple hours to where London could watch it in prime time, it would explode. But it's not worth putting the Super Bowl at 2 o'clock Eastern just so London can have it at 7. That's the thing. Like, it's that is the linchpin of all of this that I think would make the worldwide media rights that much more valuable, but it's not going to happen.
But our difference is we got, 6 different time zones we got to appease.
Exactly.
Also.
And if you put it at 2 Eastern, then what's that? Like, you're not playing the Super Bowl at 11 a.m. Pacific.
It wouldn't.
That's just never going to happen.
No, it just.
I get why he says it,
Yeah.
and he's 100% right. I'm not disagreeing with Tony, but the NFL has the right time slot for the Super Bowl for 100%. What they value.
Yeah. No, I'm with that. It's the idea to me that the exposure is what you're looking for. The 8 o'clock game, I'm with you. For the degenerates that can't get enough of it, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
11-11 in the Olympics, what somebody just said too. It's gonna be such a watered down thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be flag football. I mean, we already know it's flag football, but I don't think we're doing 11-on-11 football in the Olympics.
That's what I meant to bring up. Somebody did an AI generated prediction of Super Bowls on social media, however they did it, or Chat GPT'd it.
Okay.
All the way up to like 2070 or whatever it was. It had.
How'd we do?
Titans ended up getting one by, I think, 234, if I'm not mistaken. Not bad. Cam should still be here at that point in
Yeah,
time.
9 years later?
Yeah,
Sure.
9 years later. It takes time. But they had Bengals winning it at 26.
Unrealistic,
They can't even get a player sign right now. Trey Henderson and them are having a spicy conversation.
That's funny.
Still.
That's what our next topic was going to be.
But they also
You didn't even
had.
know
I did know it. I looked at it.
Okay.
But they also will had 2 international teams in that display of this Chat GPT thing.
Like a London team?
Yeah, London.
That I don't want.
Falcons
Too
or
far.
whatever it was. Not Falcons. It was the London something.
Too far.
Yeah, I know.
Good.
But it was generated through AI.
I think Roger Goodell would love to have a London-based team. I'm against it.
I don't know if you can get the players on board.
I agree.
With families more than anything.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
But the way you increase salary caps and bring in more revenue and a new TV deal is you sell a big worldwide media rights deal. And that is where the NFL is obsessed with expanding all these European options, is you add more to the pot for everybody.
It's one thing you could do.
What's that?
I think to help brand it, put a Super Bowl in London.
I don't love it, but I'd rather have that than a team there full time, if that's what I'm conceding.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be at 10 p.m. local time.
Yeah. I mean,
Have some rowdy Brits out there.
How many Americans are going, or anybody that can really afford it anyway? If it's in London, you're going regardless. It's the way I look at it.
Man, it'd be crazy. 615-737-1045. Hour 4 next. Headlines in the NFL, where one team is stalled in extension talks. Ramon just gave it away. It's one of the many teams he hates in the AFC North next.
It is 9:02 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. Good morning. I'm Justin Hawkins. The 2025 NFL season schedule continues to take shape before the official release tomorrow. And announced this morning, the 2025 seven-game international slate has been announced. Among those, the Minnesota Vikings have become or will become the first NFL team to play in back-to-back international games in different countries. They will play the Steelers in Dublin, Ireland, Week 4, and they play the Browns in London, England on Week 5. In the NBA playoffs, Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers have the Cleveland Cavaliers on the brink of elimination, and they will try to knock off the Cavs tonight in Game 5, leading the series 3-1. The tip-off for that one is 6 p.m. on TNT. And Game 5 tonight between the Denver Nuggets and Oklahoma City Thunder, with the series tied at 2 games apiece. Tip-off for that one is set for 8:30, also on TNT. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans involves. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth and final hour, 9 a.m. here already on RKW. We are fueled by Scooter's Coffee, locally owned near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Ramon Foster and Will Bowling. Justin Hawkins is our producer, and it is Ramon's favorite time of the morning. You know why?
Why is that?
Because you're about to be able to insult one of your former rivals.
Man, put him on the table, Will. Who
the
is it?
Cincinnati Bengals and Trey Hendrickson have stalled on extension talks. This comes after 2 appearances for Hendrickson on the Pat McAfee show, where there was a lot of frustration as the team continues to not give him an extension. Look, it's kind of like sneezing while you're driving. There's never a good time to do it. Sometimes nature calls. No, it's not a demerit. Not a demerit.
Yeah.
I continue.
Yeah.
A statement given by Trey Hendrickson yesterday. No communication has taken place between my camp and the Bengals post-draft. The offers prior to the draft did not reflect the vision we shared and were promised last offseason if I continued to play at a high level. Coaches were aware of these conversations. Rather than using collaboration to get us to a point to bring me home to the team, capitalized, they are no longer communicating. I have been eagerly awaiting a resolution, but that's hard to do when there is no discussion and an evident lack of interest in reaching mutual goals. Ramon Foster, your thoughts?
It's always them, is what you say in these situations.
Correct.
And I say
them
this,
meaning Cincinnati.
Them meaning Cincinnati is, as of late, it's always been something as it pertains to how they deal. I think they did the same thing with Andre Smith years back, where I'm not sure if she's still their capologist, but there was a conversation that's very similar to the one that Trey Hendrickson is having right now about how you get paid, the amount of money, what the market is, et cetera, et cetera. And they just have a different way of operating when it comes down to those numbers. Some may call them smart. Some might call them, I guess, very aggressive to protect themselves, business people, as they go about negotiating for guys. But as a player, it really does make it seem like in a world where you give so much to a team that you give so much of your body, time, effort, blood, sweat, tears, broken bones, future health issues too, that they don't consider you as hot of a commodity as you think you are, or the way you see other teams treat their players too, because that's the other side of it. You hear about how Cincinnati moves, and there's other teams that's very similar too. Heck, George Pickens is criticizing the heck out of the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. It goes in different directions, but when you have your premier players like Trey Hendrickson that has helped you win games, put you in a position to be a name team, it sucks because at the end of the day, the lies that come from the front office is essentially what he's saying. You guys told me last year, if I did my thing, then you'd also reward me. So it kind of sucks for him to be put in this position to where he has to publicly speak about it. And it's not just him. It was Shamar Stewart is another one that's going through the rookie. I know.
Yeah,
there's another one that's going through it. Like, they got 2 of the rookies allegedly not on the practice field because of an injury clause that Cincinnati doesn't honor. The tweet was, if I'm not mistaken, the issue that they have is Cincinnati doesn't guarantee contracts with players that are injured unless it's a career-ending injury is the alleged report that's being given. And those first and second rounder picks that they have, Demetrius Knight and also Shamar Stewart, are refusing to go on the practice field because they refuse to get hurt for a team that won't honor the contract, right, wrong, or indifferent.
Right.
It's them that are making these type of decisions that somewhat have players side-eye on. I mean, we used to joke about they couldn't get real eggs for breakfast. I'm serious. They couldn't get real eggs for breakfast unless they won football games. Now, there's a lot of fans that'll raise their hands and go, hell yeah, these bunch of spoiled brats.
But that's not normal working conditions.
That's not normal working conditions.
No. Not for people that are putting their bodies and lives on the line.
Or I'm up early in the morning to come to work, working out, and then you're providing me a breakfast. Sure. Like powdered eggs?
So without his rookie contract in place, Shamar Stewart was unwilling to participate in the team's rookie minicamp. And the reason is the percentage of compensation in future years to be paid as training camp roster bonus. That's the reason why he is not out there.
That's tricky because if that's the odds of him making it. I mean, it's 50-50, 47, whatever you want to call it, man. 47, 53 guys making it or not. You want that guarantee. You want the ability to say, hey, this is what I'm getting no matter what. And Cincinnati's not allowing that. So why did you draft a guy if you have those type of concerns?
So training camp roster bonus has become a device for putting a sizable chunk of the player's pay in their pockets in future years early in the season. So you get your money up front more by just being at training camp on the roster versus later in the season getting more, I guess, performance-based stuff. That's from Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk.
Yeah, it's always this. But at this point, just go ahead and trade away Trey Hendrickson because at this point, he'll get fined for holding out. But what it also does in these situations is I think it's the same as what Trent Williams went through with the 49ers. It just creates a big conversation piece and just distractions around your team that's so unnecessary.
Sure.
And here's the thing about it. If they didn't have a trade partner before the draft and Trey Hendrickson is made enough to where he probably don't give a doggone about the money that's being lost because eventually he'll get it back from either them when they finally bend the knee and sign the deal or if they cut him and he goes somewhere else. And at this point, heck, he can just pretty much retire. I don't think he's hurting for a coin at all.
He probably wants to win, though. I mean, like, the challenging thing in situations like this is the team almost always has the leverage. Almost always.
More times.
And this time, the team definitely has the leverage. Like, Trey Hendrickson taking a year off to not play, not in his best interest at the age that he is.
Well, when you got your stud of a quarterback and there's no other rushers left on the market that are at his level, are you wasting another Joe Burrow year just to say, yeah, we stood our ground?
It's true, too.
Because that's part of it, too, is the ownership. When you start getting your face kicked in week and week out and you can't stop a run, which was a big issue.
At that point, yesterday's price isn't today's price for Trey Hendrickson.
Exactly. It's the
You're taking a risk if you're Cincinnati.
Same thing that San Francisco had to do with Trent Williams. Like, when you're that type of player, you have that type of power. And I will say more times than not, it's a battle to get to that point. You're right. And the team holds the cards early. But if they start losing, that's a bad situation from the fan base in Cincinnati.
It just feels like Cincinnati is always pulling teeth to just spend money.
Yeah, 100%.
It's always pulling teeth to do things that competent organizations do all the time.
Yeah, and they did the same thing to Jamar Chase. Like, there's no way he should have been on the market playing on that deal that he was. Him or T. Higgins, for that matter.
Sure.
You know what it did? Cost him more. Probably, about another $50 million?
Yeah. We got 2 3-1 series in the NBA after last night. Minnesota over Golden State. Knicks over Celtics. Are we prepared to live in a world where New York has a really good sports team?
No. No, we're not.
Because they got a couple right now. The Yankees were in the World Series last year, which is big for Duke fans who saw their team crumble in the Final Four this past year. Sorry, Don. And the Mets are good right now. I mean, look, it's May. They'll remember they're the Mets when the time comes, and they'll falter. Sorry, Teron Davenport. But the Knicks, man, the Knicks are fun for me on social media because I think their fan base is so insane and so everywhere. They are the ultimate, I didn't realize I followed so many Knicks fan base.
Yeah, they are. Well, you're in that era too, where a bunch of those '90s Knicks fans are adults too.
They're old enough now, for sure.
The anti-Chicago fans is what I would call them. Yeah, the anti-Chicago
Patrick Ewing
Bulls fans. Yeah, Patrick Ewing fans, John Starks. Yes, those guys. Oakley. Like, yes, it's that era for them, and it's kind of cool too watching those guys be at those games. We were talking before the show.
Yeah.
The celebrity row.
I know. You had two Jenners and Timothy Chalamet, who I want to be best friends with. You had, Ben Stiller is always there, Stephon Diggs, Cardi B.
Spike.
Flavor Flav, was he there? Yeah, he was there.
Steve Stout, big music.
Or Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes was there.
Tracy Morgan's always there, too.
Always there.
I'm not sure if they're going to let him back from the throw-up session he had. I love Tracy, too.
Because I just love the show 30 Rock.
Yeah. Tracy's just good. I remember from Martin back in the day. Yeah, I didn't realize he was a hustle man on Martin until I grew up a little bit more. But Tracy Morgan being on it, they had a who's who. That's how you know they're getting good, too. They are setting up you saw that? The box that they're doing, it's an exclusives only suite.
For the VIPs.
Yeah, the New York VIP is basically saying this is the golf course for a basketball arena.
The VVIPs, very, very important.
They actually check you.
Very
How much
valuable.
do you make? How popular are you? Do you deserve to be in this room? That's
interesting.
Nuts. But that just lets you know what the garden has turned into now.
Quick show rec, by the way. I'm in a position where my fiance and I watch a show together, and then I watch a show myself. So I've got multiple recs and multiple things going on at once. The Studio on Apple TV. Mm-hmm. Apple TV has kind of stolen HBO's whole thunder.
Oh.
Apple TV is the new HBO. The Studio has as many crazy cameos as any show I've watched since Entourage. It's like a less vulgar Entourage that's a little more grown up.
Yeah.
It's like a grown up Entourage. Seth Rogen is the star of it. Catherine Hahn is in it. They just had a bunch of cameos the past couple of episodes. Martin Scorsese's in the first one, but it's about a guy running a studio and just all the stuff that comes with running a studio. And it's shot with one camera.
Yeah.
So the camera just follows them around the whole time. It's one of those that if you are okay with being really stressed and you don't have secondhand anxiety, watch The Studio on Apple TV.
Succession like?
Kind of. Maybe not as mean as Succession, not as like business. It's like movie business.
Okay.
But it's really good. Seth Rogen, main character.
I love
Anyway,
Seth
there's
Rogen,
another show
by the
right
way.
for you. I got a lot right now.
Yeah, so I got, was it Mob Life? Mobland.
Mobland. No, Mobland's the best show on TV right now.
All right.
I said that earlier this morning. Paramount Plus, Mobland, best show on television right now.
I got a list there for sure.
Coming up next, we continue our SEC spring football previews. Let's talk some Georgia football when we come back. DJ Shockley, former Georgia Bulldog, reporter down there in Atlanta, part of the Georgia radio broadcast, does a great job, and he will join us coming up next.
Two Rivers Ford announces employee pricing for everyone. Every tradesman, every dad, every rising star. You pay what we pay. Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned. American made.
And your driveway is cracked and sinking, or your porch steps, maybe they've moved on you too. Shifting concrete can create a dangerous situation, just trip hazard around your home. It's also a big eyesore. Shimon Foster, whatever's going on with your concrete, call United Structural Systems. Ask them about their polyurethane foam injections. You've heard about USS for a long time. It's the same company that's provided superior foundation and repair and waterproofing to Middle Tennessee since 1994. Well, guess what? They can fix your sunken or settling concrete. USS uses polyurethane foam injections to lift and repair your sinking concrete in a matter of minutes. Lifted concrete can also be walked on immediately or even driven on after 30 minutes. So don't go through that long, expensive process of ripping out and replacing concrete. Reach out to the company that I trust, man. Go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com or call them 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems.
RKW on 104.5 The Zone continues here at Hour 4 on this Tuesday morning. Alongside Ramon Foster, I'm Will Bowling. As our SEC Spring Football Series continues, we go south to chat with DJ Shockley, former Georgia Bulldog, Fox 5 Atlanta sports director down there in the ATL. DJ, what's going on, man? How are you?
Well, what up, man? All was good, man. Just good old Tuesday. Come back with a little MC Hammer, huh?
Yes, sir.
But wake you up a little bit. You know, we couldn't give you Bulldogs enough praise. We ain't like we need to be playing some, you know what I'm saying, some Jeezy or some Big Extra Plug. We can't have you too hype on the network this morning.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. But, you always got to keep a little South going. You could have brought a little T.I., a little something. I like a little G's. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. But again, this is you guys have been running the state of Tennessee and Georgia for a while, DJ. You've got enough wins, okay?
No doubt.
Well, DJ, looking at this Georgia football team and kind of the mood and the vibe around the program. Obviously, a new quarterback. We'll get into some of that stuff. But what is the overall just vibe around Georgia football with the way last season went? You're able to get Texas a couple times, but the season ending the way it did against Notre Dame. What's it like down there around this team right now?
Yeah, it's an interesting field because I think the way things have gone the last few years, it's kind of expected. I don't say expected, but people are like, why are we not playing in the national championship? And you think about it, when you go and you win them back-to-back years, obviously the expectation goes up. And for the longest, Georgia was a program that you made it to the SEC championship. Your fans were excited. They were glad. It was a good year. But Kirby's kind of changed that mood. He's kind of changed the expectations of what Georgia football should be. And when you're not playing for a national championship, it's considered a down year or a bad year. Even considering the schedule they had last year, that I thought that was maybe one of Kirby's probably best coaching teams that he had to go through. I mean, you're talking about going on the road to Texas, Ole Miss, obviously Alabama, obviously, Tennessee coming there. I mean, it's always tough when you have that kind of schedule. But I would say the mood right now is it's kind of everybody's wondering what this team is going to look like. You mentioned a big part of that is because of who's playing quarterback in Gunner. You lose Carson. You just had 14 guys drafted to the NFL. You had up 3-4 guys end up on teams from free agency and all that kind of stuff. So this is going to be an interesting team to see how some of these young guys kind of develop and evolve, because that's what this team is going to be. It's going to be a young team, but they got a lot of guys who played last year, but also they got a lot of guys who are expected to take bigger steps and bigger roles this year on this team. And it's going to be one of those type of seasons where everybody's going to be see who shows up, who's the team that actually can Georgia get back to that elite level that they were used to in those, couple of years where they were, competing for national championships.
DJ Shockley, Fox 5 Atlanta sports director, talking some Georgia football with us. So, DJ, I'm always curious with really good recruiters and elite coaches, kind of what the secret sauce is. How did Kirby Smart build Georgia into such a powerhouse? I know you got resources. It's fertile recruiting ground. There are a lot of guys that could win at Georgia. Maybe not a lot of guys, though, that could win to the level he has. If you're picking one or two ways of how he did it, where would you start that conversation?
I think the first part of it starts with what just happened in April. And I just talked about 14 guys being drafted. There was a crazy stat that came out about Kirby that he's got 20 first-round guys that have been drafted, and he's only got 19 losses. And I think when he steps into those houses and he talks to those parents and talks to those kids, and he can point directly to the development of these kids as they go through his program and say, you know what, look, once you leave here, whether you play in your first year, you're not playing to, your second and third year, you're going to find your way on an NFL roster. And I think at the end of the day, that's what all these kids want. Obviously, you want to come get a great education, but you want to play on the next level. That's every, kid's dream when you're growing up playing football is I want to play in the National Football League. And you look up and down the line, Kirby continues to do that, whether it's offensive linemen, whether it's, quarterbacks, whether it's running backs. We know what they've done on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that's his probably biggest recruiting tool is you can look up and say, hey, look what just happened in the Super Bowl. You had 5-6 guys from our team that obviously were playing at a high level. Now they're Super Bowl champions. And then the other part I think about what makes Kirby really good at recruiting, along with the rest of the staff. I mean, the rest of the staff is amazing too. Is Kirby keeps it real with them, and he tells them point blank, period, this is what's gonna happen, and he'll tell a kid straight up, hey, if you can come here and play, that's what I want. You got to come here and compete. You're gonna earn it. We're gonna work hard, and I think a lot of guys can respect that, saying from day one that nothing's going to be given to you. And I'm sure, a lot of coaches do that, but I think Kirby has a track record of showing exactly what that looks like. And he is one of those genuine kind of guys that, he could be my coach, but I also would love to go and, sit down and have a beer with him. He's one of those kind of guys that is through and through just a real solid dude. And at the end of the day, you're going to be developed when you come to the University of Georgia, and he's proven that.
No doubt about it. DJ Shockley with us this morning, former Georgia quarterback, talking some Bulldogs this morning for you Georgia fans in the Nashville area. DJ, man, the quarterback position is one of the best positions to be. You're a former quarterback yourself. I'm sure you still have that mindset. So you watch those guys come through. You guys ended up winning a national championship with a guy that wasn't a high-rated guy, but you guys are in that position now. Georgia's a place to go to. With that being said, with so much talent, DJ, what does it take to win the starting job at a place like Georgia, where I think is very bigs-centric, O-line, D-line, and defense, man? What does it take to win that spot down there for the guys that are competing with it right now?
Yeah, and I think that's why, we came to Tennessee and got a dude that's pretty good, I think.
There it is. Just give it time.
Guys from different states still want to come to Georgia now. But I think it's one of those things you look around, and as a guy who played at the University of Georgia, I don't think I realized it until I left how big of a deal it is to be the quarterback at a school like that. I mean, and I'm sure it's like that at every other SEC school too as well, where you're playing really good football and you're winning ball games. You got a great fan base. And Georgia's similar to a lot of them around the country. But at Georgia, I think for playing on a guy like Kirby Smart, playing for Mike Bobo, the offensive coordinator, the biggest thing that he wants is a guy who can take care of the football, but also who can move the football and take command of the entire offense. And they ask the quarterback to do so much in their offense that if you're not able to do that, that's going to take you out of the running right away. And it's not just in the pass game. He has a lot of in the run game. There's checks, there's calls. Yeah, the center has a lot of obligations as well, but the quarterback has a lot of responsibility at the line of scrimmage. And if you're not able to do that, that makes it tough for you to be able to get on the field. And if you can do that, they put full trust in you, and they're going to put that offense in your hands. So I think the first thing is obviously taking care of the football is a big deal, but also having that command of the offense and then understanding what they want to do as an offense. And, college football has changed. Even Kirby Smart has changed over the years of, I just want to be able to run the football and be the most physical team. He knows you have to spread people out. You got to be able to throw it around the yard, but you also have to be able to have a guy who can make plays in those clutch situations. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things too is, when you're asked upon to make a big time throw, or you're asked upon to make a call, make a check at the line of scrimmage, you got to know what's going on and be fearless in it. And that's a big part of playing quarterback at the University of Georgia. To win that job, you have to have all those kind of key traits to play under a guy like Kirby Smart, but then you also have to have tough skin. Because if anybody's watched Kirby on the sideline or watch how he goes about his business, he's not holding back when it comes to emotions, and you got to be able to control that and understand that this guy gonna be hard on you, but at the end of the day, he wants the best for you and wants the best for this team.
So that's fascinating because in this NIL transfer portal world that we live in right now, Kirby has said you guys don't need a GM. He's a GM. Kirby's also just said when it comes to NIL, look, we'll do our own thing as it pertains to that. And I go to that to say, today, I think you guys are supposed to get a 5-star plus commitment from a tackle, Jackson Cantrell. But there's one group that has taken, I ain't going to say taking your quarterback, because y'all probably asked Carson Beck to leave. But with that being said, the laugh tells me so much right there, DJ. But with that,
I don't know what you mean, bro. I have no idea what you mean.
I hear you. With that being said, Miami is playing a different game in South Beach. Allegedly, Carson got $5 million, $4 million, whatever the case may be. It's not a for sure thing, according to Steve Wiltfong, that Jackson Cantrell is going to pick Georgia today. How does Kirby continue to evolve in that world of where he's living his own life the way Nick did before the NIL got to this point? Because we lost a starting quarterback in the spring, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how can Kirby survive the Miamis and everybody else, the Texases for that matter?
Yeah, and that's a good question, bro, because I think in this day and age of NIL, of kids being able to move around as much as they want to, and as soon as a bag comes a call in, a kid can just run out and say, hey, there's another opportunity somewhere else. And I think from day one, I've heard Kirby talked about with his team personally, if you feel like it's green on the other side, or you feel like you can go out and find a better opportunity, I'm not going to be one that's going to hold you back. But at the end of the day, if you have to play us, we're going to kick your ass. And that's how he tell them. And I think it resonates with the kids, to be honest, that, they understand how they work there. They understand the culture that he's created. But like you mentioned, it's still tough when another school comes and offers you 2 times whatever you're making at your particular school or at Georgia. And I think Kirby's done a good job of trying to make sure those guys are taken care of. But I think he also leans on what I mentioned earlier is come here, work. Yeah, you're going to get paid, but then also the real payoff is going to come in a couple of years when you're going to hear your name called in the April draft. And I think when it comes to a guy they're recruiting today, just look at the track record. I mean, he had 3 or 4 offensive linemen drafted in his last year's draft. You look over the past few years, they had a couple guys go in the first round. I mean, it's easy to tell a kid, yeah, come here, develop, and watch what happens, but he has the track record to show these are the things that we're doing here that's going to help you become a better player. And right now, it may look good to get this bag. It may feel great that, hey, this team is offering you X amount of dollars, but I'm looking out for what's going to happen to you in the future and how much more money you can make down the road. So I think he stresses, don't think about, the here and now and, what all that is. You got to think about your future 10, 15 years down the road and how much more money you can make in this opportunity. But, Georgia's not they still have their share of guys who leave. They had a bunch of guys who, have gone off in the transfer portal and they ain't going away. But at the end of the day, he tries his hardest to keep the guys that they have on campus and build them up and develop them.
DJ Shockley of Fox 5 Atlanta, former Georgia quarterback, is our guest. So, DJ, I remember somebody saying at late last season when Gunnar Stockton got into the playoff that he is closer to what Stetson Bennett was than Carson Beck, just skill set wise. His improvisational ability, his athleticism, and maybe Mike Bobo could lean back on what made Georgia so good with Stetson Bennett with Gunnar Stockton. Do you buy maybe that this offense can go back a little bit and go forward? And how do those new receivers and Noah Thomas and Zachariah Branch maybe raise the ceiling of this offense in 2025?
Yeah, well, I think the latter part of it is more what Mike Bobo and Kirby Smart are looking forward to as opposed to Gunnar. I think they know exactly what they have in Gunnar, and they're excited to have Gunnar. It's a reason why he was their backup. It's a reason why they feel confident about him coming in that game in the second half in the SEC championship game versus one of the top defenses in the country in Texas. But I think going forward, having people around him, I think, is what they are really banking on. Having really good players on the perimeter, having guys up front who obviously have played a lot of football, but now they're stepping into starting roles and can be guys that can protect him. But I think ultimately it comes down to what they did in the transfer portal, going to get those guys you mentioned. Noah Thomas, a big old body guy, 6'5", 6'6". You got Kobe Young, another big body guy, 6'4", 6'5" on the outside. Zachariah Branch, who in the spring everybody was raving about his athleticism, his ability to get in and out of cuts, his speed, being able to take the top off of it. They got two freshmen who they're really excited about, who they think can actually have a impact on their offense this season. So I think the biggest part of it is the guys that they have put around him that's going to help Gunnar play at a higher level. And I think the thing that they have stressed to Gunnar is you don't have to do it all. You don't have to be Carson Beck. You don't have to be Stetson Bennett. You have to be the best Gunnar Stockton you are. And I think going into this offseason, they can tailor things to what he does well. Yeah, he's a little bit more athletic than Carson was. He's a guy who can move around. He's really, really tough. He took a shot in the SC Championship game versus Texas on the 1 yard line. I thought he completely blew out his knee and was done, but the dude just pops right up, held the football in his hand, didn't fumble it, and they played for him. I remember coming out of halftime of the SEC Championship game, Carson just went down, And I'm literally sitting in the locker room next to Mike Bobo and Gunnar Stockton, and they're going through the game plan, and they're asking him, hey, what do you like on third down? What do you like in the red zone? What are some of the things that you're, really excited about? What things feel good to you going into the second half? And as he was going through it, I saw so many guys come up to him and pat him on his back and tell him, we got your back. And it just wasn't just offensive guys. This was defensive guys. This was coaches. And right then I knew they were going to rally behind him. And that's the kind of player and person Gunnar is. He's not as vocal guy, but he goes about his leadership in a different way, and he goes about it with his actions. And it's going to be interesting to see how he plays this year. I think Gunnar's going to do great, but I think it matters more about the guys around him. Can Nate Frazier, running back, be a big, difference maker for him? They got a couple freshmen coming in. They got Josh McCray out of the portal coming out of Illinois. They got a bunch of guys. They got a bunch of tight ends in this offense. So as we know, having great players around you makes you a lot better as a quarterback, and you never get it done by yourself.
Yeah, buddy. With that being said, then, is there anybody off top, man, or where do you view the Georgia Bulldogs wide receiver group this year? Because as rich as the talent is out of the state of Georgia and just in the Southeast in general, man, there has to be somebody in y'all's backyard, man, that's probably going to try to light the world on fire the way the 17-year-old we heard do it in Alabama. We continue. Did you know he was 17 years old in Alabama?
Yeah.
Did you hear that too? Like, I don't know why they said it, but he's 17 years old.
No, that's right. I swear, every game you turned on, it was said at least 10 times. There was a quota for it. It had to be.
Oh my God!
But I remember when Georgia played Alabama and he was making plays, I was looking over the dude like, hey man, he's 17. Right?
See,
the dude is nasty for sure.
You hadn't left the player side behind you because you like me on the side. I want to have a good time and act like I'm still in there, man. But go ahead, though, DJ.
No doubt.
Yeah. Anybody in that rank, though, man, did you say Georgia's going to potentially have a better group this year? Because I do feel like it's been heavy on the O-line, heavy on the defense, and not a whole lot of the receivers, especially with Gunnar Stockton being your quarterback, too, with the potential he has.
Yeah, I think this has to be probably the best receiver core Kirby's had in his tenure at Georgia. And you think about the depth that they brought in. And one thing that you saw last year, Georgia led the country in drops. And that's just insane to know that a program like that will lead the program in drops and still have kind of the success you had. And ultimately, it was a big part of, I think, why Carson struggled at times, was trying to force the issue because they were having issues on the outside. Now, they made plays at times too, but they also hurt themselves by dropping the football. So I think that was a main focus for Kirby going into this offseason was we got to get more playmakers on the outside. We got to get guys who can create, guys who can stretch the defense, and he wanted more size. You're talking about going out and getting Noah Thomas. You're talking about a huge playmaker on the outside. He played really well in the spring game, but a 6'5", 200-pound guy, obviously coming from A&M, and then getting Kobe Young back is a big deal. He was coming on before he ended up, having to sit down a few games last season. You got the veteran Dylan Bell, who they play him all over the place. He played everywhere from running back to slot to outside. He's one of those just value guys that you have. They got London Humphreys a year or two ago from Vanderbilt who has speed to take the top off. And then they got two freshmen who, if given the opportunity, I think could have an impact like our guy at Alabama did, C.J. Wiley and Tylen Taylor. Mm-hmm. Two guys who absolutely people will want to know the names of if you're a Georgia fan coming up here this next season. So I don't know if there's one guy, bro, to be serious,
right?
Because there's obviously a lot of offseason to get to and see how these guys really develop in this offense. But I know they have the size. I know they have the athleticism, but I know they have guys who want to be those type of playmakers. And right now, if I could point to a guy, it probably would be Zachariah Branch. They brought him in for a reason, and he played a lot of good football in the spring, had a couple big catches in the spring game. So expect Branch to absolutely have a big part of his offense and be one of those guys that they feature week in and week out.
But is he 17?
Not 17.
He ain't 17, though. He ain't 17. Okay.
He might be that good, though. Okay. DJ Shockley, kind enough to join us this morning, talking some Georgia football, a little off-season scouting report, Fox 5 in Atlanta. DJ, great stuff. Let's do it again soon, man. Thanks so much.
Man, appreciate it.
Hey, Will, man, appreciate y'all boys. Y'all be good out there.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. DJ Shockley, kind enough to join us here this morning as our SEC Spring Football Series continues.
I love former quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They're thorough.
Quarterbacks and O-linemen, the best analysts, right?
You said the other part. I didn't say it this time.
615-737-1045. Final call for phone calls. We will get to more SEC breakdowns as the week continues. Going to do LSU on Thursday.
Yes, let's go.
A little SEC West, even though there aren't divisions anymore.
I feel like when they're
go
quiet,
over that side.
worry.
They're not quiet this offseason.
You don't think so? I don't feel like
They have the number one transfer portal class in the country, according to On3.
God, dang it.
We'll learn more about them Thursday. Coming up, headlines on the way out next. RKW 1045 The Zone, wrapping up the show with Ramon Foster. I am Will Bowling. Robert Walsh is in the studio. What's up? Rupert is here.
That voice, man.
How we doing?
It's still scratchy.
I'm still getting through,
every time
too.
I laugh, I have like one of those old man jalopy laughs. Like, sounds like way too much is hanging on in there. I don't like it. Cheyenne loves it though. She's like with a whole new man now.
Does she think you Barry White or somebody
That's what-
out here now?
Burt White.
Jada Kiss?
That's what I'm saying.
Murderkiss?
Birdicus.
Verticus.
Make me sound like a Spartan.
Hey,
So
no,
what were you coming in here for initially?
Because my headphones were borrowed. Either that or
Oh.
these are Ross's because we have the exact same headphone pair. But that's okay. I have no problem wearing Ross's headphones. That's
Okay.
cool with me.
Nice.
Yeah, well, the other part, I booed somebody real quick.
Who we booing?
And my voice cracked. I was like, that's what you get for being evil, Mon. Let that go. I was getting through the congestion side of things.
No, I'm here to boo people. Let's talk a little crowd.
Yeah, by the way, well, here we go then.
Let's hear
Morning
it.
roast
Here
on a
comes the
Tuesday.
AFC North
You
hate.
damn right it is. Okay.
How did I know?
I asked Bert a second ago because I can be perceived as the team haters of anybody AFC North, okay? But when I asked you about the contract situation between Trey Hendrickson, what was your response?
They're broke.
They're broke. Just say that.
They ain't got no money. They ain't got no
Say that.
money.
The value of your team is high, but like the pockets of your team are low.
Not high.
And we talked about this on Buck's show yesterday, how they asked their starting safety, Geno Stone, to take a $1.6 million pay cut. 1.6. Yeah, they are lifting up every couch cushion, looking for every shiny quarter. Like, I need a gumball over here in Cincinnati.
I immediately said to you, well, which one of your kids are you trying to put on staff then?
Like,
You trying to take my money to pay your kids? Come on. Hell no.
what are we doing?
Zach Taylor's not that old. Surely doesn't have a kid yet ready to curse.
Just saying, like,
Right.
dog, more to get some more, borrow some more. That's what you tell us to do, borrow some more, broke boy. I shouldn't say it like that. I mean, it's just that when you got your guy, your quarterback. And here's the other thing, too, Bert. Had they got ahead of the curve and paid Jamar, they'd be probably $50 million richer.
What's the old saying? You can either pay me the fair price, or you could pay me the top price.
Hey.
And they always push the buck. They keep pushing the buck, and now when you have to pay somebody the top dollar, now we don't want to invest that much money. I don't know if we could bring all them Brinks trucks down here to pay you, son. It's like, come on, go ahead and give that man
white man voice. I like that one.
Pay that man. What is that? What does that mean? Pay that man his money.
Well, funny thing is, pushing the buck is what your job description is now from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
God, dude, I miss the days of having a nice, relaxing morning where we jovially
Slow
jest with each other, and now Buck comes in and is like, "What are we doing on the show today? I need this audio." The show starts in 6 minutes, dude. What do you mean?
Hey, sports news right quick. Schedule release. How many primetime Baltimore get? Because y'all are getting pushed out by Chicago, Eagles, Chiefs, Commanders.
Justin?
And to be honest,
Well done.
he gets it. He gets it. It don't matter to me neither. They can play at noon all they want to. I like noon
This is
games.
a Titan show.
I will say. I'll say they get four. They get four.
All right,
They
fair
get
enough.
4. Titans get more than one with the number 1 overall.
I think they get two.
I think they get two also.
And wouldn't it make a lot of sense where me and Lucas were talking about this? If Shador was drafted higher, if the Cleveland and Titans game would be a primetime game.
Yeah. I think it's Jags with the top 2 overall picks. I think it's the return of Jags Thursday night, and I think it's Vrabel's return.
Vrabel's return.
I think Patriots and Vrabel's return is a primetime game.
Yeah. I can see both of those happening. I think the Patriots game, most definitely. Somebody's in the hallway. Is this the classroom situation?
Buck is, yes, this is 100%. When your buddies are in class and you walk by and you're like, hey, go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom.
Raise your hand.
Buck is outside right now wondering what I'm doing in his palatial estate. This is his side of the fence. You know, he wants to keep me back there. He wants to keep me back there behind the glass
That's
in my
dirty.
stinky little glass case of emotion.
That's dirty.
He don't want me in here. He don't want me to live,
Somebody
man.
said on YouTube, never seen Burt before, jump scare.
We can go fight them right now.
No, it don't bother me.
Carter on YouTube.
That don't bother me. My girl likes it. That's all that matters.
his does, too.
I was about to say this. Well, that's the show. Coming up next, you get Rupert Walsh on the Buck Rising Show. He pushes the buck weekdays from 10 a.m. to 1. Good to see you, buddy.
That was dope, man.
Good to be seen.
Hey, it's good cheating with you for a little while. Sorry, J. Hall.
Back at it tomorrow morning. Rhett Bryan will be here at 9 o'clock. It will be schedule release day, the event that isn't really an event, but it's the NFL, so we make it into an event. And we're going to like it.
Yeah,
Tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
You got to remember, though, whether you get one primetime game or 6 of them, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot, baby. And win more games. Peace.